Hey, boys and girls. Well, this is not good. We went live and we had 5 viewers before we went live, and now we only have 3.
I know.
Boy.
As soon as we went live, we lost 2 viewers, and Andrew.
People must hate speed.
Yeah, Andrew, Scott, me, I think are the 3 viewers.
Okay, it's kind of up to 4 now. So we
they
got
noticed.
4 to 4.
They noticed. We usually don't have a mutable on, and we usually get about 30
my
viewers.
fucking god! You just have to. Jeez, what is with you and throwing shade? You take like every shot you get.
I do.
Come on, God.
Well, I apologize. You got my email of apology last time, right?
I know. It's not really an apology if you keep doing it, though. Jesus, man.
Yeah, you're right.
We've been over this like 1,000 times.
Yeah, well.
Here, I'm ready to take a heroic dose of something.
Yeah, let's take a heroic
Whatever
dose.
you're having, I'll have double of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I could use a little myself.
I hear fungus are our friends.
So Andrew, I sent you a link. Did you get it?
Actually, I put one in the side chat too.
You did? Okay, good.
Do you want me to remove it?
No, I don't care who the fuck comes in or what we do tonight. It simply does not matter. So,
can we talk about the Wednesday situation?
No.
I asked you out off stream and you said yes. The hell?
No, I never said yes. I said no.
You said you didn't care.
I said I didn't care about talking about it, and that means we're not talking about it. That's what I meant.
Well, can you understand why this would be confusing, to say the least?
No, I've been pretty clear that we are not going to go after anybody in that court. So I've been really clear.
We're not going to go after atheists because atheists have to have a stellar image of what atheism is, and God forbid atheists make mistakes.
We're not in the business of going after every atheist channel where somebody says something and that you don't like, that you disagree with.
We're in the interest of being correct.
We could talk about Christianity if you want. And the Kalam cosmological argument, first causes and all that crap.
By the way, Speed.
So tired of that one. What? Buddha.
A good person to have a talk to about Buddhism might be Wild Eden, because
I know.
You heard her talk about that. I thought that would be some interesting shit to listen to.
Yes,
about.
Been a Buddhist since 2000.
And then just find out if she would like to talk to somebody like Dessel, who is anti-Buddhist.
Dessel is anti-Buddhist? That doesn't make sense.
He doesn't like Buddhism.
What?
He's harder on Buddhism than he is on Christianity. Dessel.
Well, let me just say that I don't want to say he doesn't like it. That may be true, but I don't know for sure that it's true. But he has certain problems with it philosophically, for sure. So that would be a good discussion if she's of a mind to talk about it.
Andrew's sitting by the door waiting for somebody to come home.
Oh wow! You don't have a key. The fuck? Jesus.
My dog used to do that.
Come over to my house, Andrew. I'll let you in.
And they keep leaving Andrew alone, and that's why he goes on Neffy's stream and goes all over.
I know Nephilim must be like a father figure to him or something like that. Jesus.
Abandoned, yeah. What do you call him?
Andrew has a relative that whistles when he talks. So.
Yeah, it's like the most. It's like the most aggravating thing I've heard. I want to punch out his teeth so he can't do it anymore.
Yeah, when they left him alone as a child, they would just put him in front of old reruns of Dan Rather's news show, and he just got addicted to the whistling sound.
I already forgot what I already forgot what Neffy called him. A what? A dinky doo-doo? What?
Smuckadoodle something. I don't know.
Some weird term. I don't know. God,
yeah, I erased that, so I don't know.
A schmuckadoodle atheist. I don't know what the fuck.
Let's just go back to the demonic hyenas.
Demonic hyenas.
Oh, that was somebody in the what we used to call them, the brain trust or whatever.
Yeah.
Referred to us as a collective, as a pack of demonic
band of what demonic hyenas. That was
it. Nicholas?
Oh man. Nicholas, the poor guy who lives in his mother's basement. Jeez, I'm gonna be so concerned about Nicholas and his half-baked opinions about my integrity and my moral character. Nicholas.
Whoa, sorry.
What was that?
Well, I hit my phone and it started up playing this channel. Wow, my phone. I have a smartphone.
Your phone is monitoring you, and that can't be good.
No, it's a smartphone. It plays. It knows what channel to play.
It can't be that smart if it's choosing to listen to us.
I disagree.
Really?
Yeah, this is where you come to get your logic.
Okay. You come to get your logic.
Now,
logic from speed.
Andrew said, unless you prefer me joining and then going away from keyboard sometime randomly, but actually that's kind of the way he does it anyway.
Yeah, it is.
It doesn't matter, Andrew, whatever you want to do, come on board and go do stuff if you need to.
So, Wild Eden, a Buddhist, I hear you Buddhist. I heard that on your stream today. Okay, I'm checking stuff. I have channels to monitor.
She says she'll join us in about 5 minutes, which would be a welcome thing, as well as anybody else who wants to hop on.
Oh, Standing for Truth has a sneak peek on debunking Aaron Ra. Gee, 3-hour video coming soon.
On debunking what exactly? His supposed lies in the textbook or what? I don't know.
I don't know.
That isn't lies in the textbook a Kent Hovind thing?
Yes, and Aaron Ra is handling that series by addressing it claim by.
And so now Standing for Truth is going to debunk Aaron Ra's debunking of Kent Hovind?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
Did you Mutable? Did you catch Atheist Junior's Kent Hovind thing on Alec Cox being thrown out of Dinosaur Adventureland?
No, what happened?
Oh, go to Atheist Junior's channel and watch that video. It's about 20 minutes long. So Alec Cox
version.
Okay, do you know Alec Cox, right? The one on Praise's channel all the time?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So apparently one of the things he really wanted to do is drive across the country, because I think he came from California, and go to help Kent Hovind on Dinosaur Adventureland and hang out with Kent. And he got thrown out after 2 days, or after a few days.
Oh, really? Is that so?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's interesting.
Oh, it was the whole stream was interesting. The thing I was interested in is the building codes, right? About this church he's building out there on Dinosaur Adventureland. Sounds like they don't even have a fucking blueprint, and they're just throwing together a building, probably a good sized building that's going to house a lot of people. And I'm guessing the next big Kent Hovind thing will be 50 visitors of Dinosaur Adventureland killed when building collapses, and Kent Hovind will get out and say, "Yeah, but their families had a good time."
Everybody had a good time. It was fantastic till that building fell down.
They had a good time till the building fell on them.
Jesus.
Oh my God. So Well, Eden, I've identified as a Buddhist since I've been 15 years old, but I'm not a strict or a what would you call it? I don't read Buddhist shit anymore.
He's a pretend Buddhist. Let's call it that.
A real Buddhist doesn't read Buddhist scripture.
Well, a real Buddhist ideally holds to some of the tenets of Buddhism, which would be like within the texts. So,
well, when you look
not sure where you get that from.
Well, the problem is that the text would probably fill your room, your bedroom, and there are a lot of differences in those texts. But yeah, there's really no particular kind of Buddhism. There's a whole bunch of different sects. It's really a whole bunch, and most of it amounts to different practices about how you practice Buddhism, not anything about what Buddhism means. Though there might be a few of those too. I don't know. You kind of stay away from them. So hi.
Hi there. Hi.
So do we call you Wild?
Oh, either. Or Eden or Wild.
Eden.
Answer to both.
I'll call you Eden.
If anybody has not been to Wild Eden's YouTube channel, you have to go. It's a visual and musical experience all in one.
It's a treat.
Thank you very much. That's very kind of you to say so.
There was a live stream today, and you were talking about some bad people.
Yeah. I've kind of got it all out of my system now.
Good.
It's good not to hang on to that kind of negativity.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
we've had.
It ended up being quite a fun stream. I mean, the amount of topics we covered were quite a weavy path, sort of from music to red light district in Amsterdam to goodness knows what. It was good fun.
Yeah. So, yeah, we don't even let those guys in the rooms around here. They've been backstage a few times, and I won't even allow them in. So, I've weakened a few times and almost allowed them in because they wanted to come in and discuss other topics, but Simos straightened me out. Simos Funk straightened me out.
Yeah.
It's like the rule I have: I never let a salesperson into my house.
Yeah.
Just because bad things just happen.
Well,
I know myself enough to know.
On the Christian channels, they told me never to let a demon in my house, so I've taken that to heart.
Too late.
Yeah. Yeah. So Buddhism, man.
Yes, I've been a Buddhist since 2000. When you join Buddhism, it's called taking refuge. You take refuge in the three jewels of Buddhism, which is the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha.
Sangha?
Sangha is the sort of the monks, the nuns.
Oh, okay.
Like your spiritual friends. Termed the Sangha, Sangha.
Did you go to temples and stuff like that at one time?
Oh yeah. I spent a year in a Tibetan Buddhist monastery.
Wow.
I was intending to become a nun at that point, but for personal reasons it didn't work out. But I still remained at the monastery, working as a volunteer, and it was a wonderful experience. It's the biggest Tibetan Buddhist monastery in Europe.
Wow.
It's called Sami Ling.
You'll have to
Tibetan Buddhist monastery.
Sometimes.
Yeah, they've got a website. They've got a website and everything. Yeah. It was the Tibetan Buddhist lamas who escaped from Tibet in 1956 and sought refuge in the UK and set up a monastery in Scotland, of all places. And
I've
they
heard
call
of Dalai Lama, but you're saying in Buddhism they have other like lamas?
Well, there's four main lineages or schools of Tibetan Buddhism. And each has got their own leader, but the Dalai Lama, he's the spiritual leader overall.
Okay.
The main Lama.
Yes, yes.
I've identified as a secular Buddhist since I've been 15 years old. So
wow, that's amazing.
But I've never really read much about it. In fact, I did back then, but then I made a firm decision not to read any writing or anything on that order, just to take what I had and proceed and live my life that way. And I got primarily I got my information from a guy called Alan Watts.
Oh yes, he's very well known in Buddhist circles. Yes, very good writer, very good talker.
Yeah,
I like him. Yeah,
real talker. But so that was primarily where I decided what I wanted to do and how I wanted to approach it and what I was going to do about it in my life, and it's really blended with my recovery from alcoholism and drug abuse.
Yeah,
and all throughout my life has been pretty much the backbone of how I decide to live and what I believe.
Yes.
How I approach my mortality. I'm 70 years old now, so this was back in 1968. So,
yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's an amazing story. But yeah, I'm totally with you, and how it just forms the backbone of your thinking.
Yeah.
I would say Buddhism in a nutshell could be described in one word, and that's compassion with a capital C.
Yeah.
And I think the main difference between Buddhism and Christianity, that Christianity symbols this tortured figure on a cross. The Buddhist symbols a smiling man sitting in a lotus position. And when people see these statues of the reclining Buddha, you often see them decorating people's homes. This figure of the Buddha lying on his side with a smile on his face, that's him actually dying.
Yeah, the laughing Buddha.
Yeah, the reclining Buddha is actually a representation of him dying.
Yeah,
well, that's interesting.
And it's just the contrast between that image with the smile on his face. He'd accomplished everything he needed to accomplish, and he was letting go his life in a peaceful manner. Compared to the Christian symbol, it's such a contrast.
Yeah, if I
think about it,
if I live my life right, when I die, I'm going to be laughing. Realizing what a big spoof it all has been. This whole, basically the whole being a self for 70 to however many years I make it, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about Alan Watts is his irreverent, laughing Buddha approach to life, and also his love of life and love of all things living, basically, and material. The thing I don't like about Christianity has such a dark view of the flesh and material, and
exactly.
It just sounds so depressing.
Yes,
I mean, it's scary as shit.
Hey, we have a question in side chat. Wild or Eden. Basically, does Buddhism have its own form of karma? The actual question is, does she believe the less fortunate are less fortunate because of their own fault? I don't know if that has anything to do with Buddhism, but maybe you can comment on that, or the Buddhist equivalent of karma.
The Buddhist law of karma is sort of similar to a sort of action and cause relationship. So I'm not very good at explaining it. It's a very complex subject to get into. I don't know if Speed would be able to articulate it better than I can.
I probably have a very different view, but mine is based on like Francis Varela. explained it in a book about consciousness of all things, where he explained it as that karma is the cycle of your life. That basically your habitual cycles that you go around in the same circles over and over again until you are enlightened and you can break out of your karma. And and until you do, your karma, you'll keep reliving this. Like, the best way to explain it is a lot of us have heard of this thing that for a person that's been married like 4 times, they'll tell you, I married the same girl 4 times. She just looked different. And so you're right. Basically, your patterns, like for me, drugs and alcoholism, I kept cycling back into it over and over and over again until I found a way to break the karma and just lose it. And that's the meaning for me. And as far as having responsibility, who asked that question? Was that Dress Dessel?
That was House of Reason 78, whom I don't recognize. So welcome, House of Reason. Unless you're account for another person that we know.
Yeah.
There was another newer looking person earlier, I thought, but I can't find the. Oh, M O with the little dots on top, P. So I don't know what that means.
But, I didn't see that one. I did not see.
But welcome everybody.
Hi Leo. Hi Andrew. Leo and Andrew.
I had a very interesting interaction today.
With who?
With whom?
It was public and it is recorded.
Ooh.
It was concerning the Kalam cosmological argument. It was on Khalil Allah's channel this morning.
Is he the one that converted to Islam because of the Kalam?
Well, it wasn't because of the Kalam. It was because of a number of various arguments. But yes.
Did you download the video, or is it available yet?
No, but yeah, it is available.
Do you got a link?
Okay.
I can get you one. Yes.
Get the link and a timestamp if necessary.
Kalula. So, what's the name of his channel now?
The EA show.
Oh,
EA went from empathetic atheists to exploring arguments.
Interesting.
I think it's a pretty fair transition. I think it works. I like what he does on his channel because I was one of 5. There were 5 theists and it was me. And the argument or the discussion was a little bit passionate, but remained entirely respectful. Jake, the Muslim metaphysician, I don't know if you guys know who I'm talking about, I was not that thrilled with my first impression of him, but the rest of them I was quite impressed with the scope of their knowledge and the ways in which they approached the discussion. I think it made for a very, very fruitful discussion nonetheless.
So have you ever read any of James Fodor's Unreasonable Faith that he writes about William Lane Craig's
his book Unreasonable Faith?
Yeah.
I have not read it.
Yeah. I see him plugging it a lot, and I'm almost tempted to buy it. Then something will happen, and I'll forget about it.
I come in at about the 153 mark exactly. I'm in a few seconds before that, but I'm not saying anything. So the 153 mark exactly would be for where it starts. But I'm there from that moment on through until the stream ends. So
what did you guys talk about?
The Kalam cosmological argument, mainly the tense versus tenseless theory of time.
Yeah, no, that's a good thing. I watched PSF, I can't remember.
Promethean Secular Foundation.
Yeah, they did an interview / book plug with James Fodor, and they pretty much talked about theories of time, and I found that very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Promethean Secular Frontier, PSF.
Oh yeah, Promethean Secular Frontier. Yeah.
I just heard about that today, so for the first time.
Oh yeah, no, we don't need to go over what happened on Rage's channel. We can do that in private. That was so fucking bad. That was so fucking bad. It's not even funny.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it was like one of the weirdest streams I've been in for a while too.
Yeah, oh my lord, it was just ridiculous. I was truly flabbergasted.
Is it good or bad that I have no idea what you guys are talking about?
Good.
We're not
Very
discussing,
good.
We're not discussing it on this channel.
You goddamn right.
Okay.
Thank you, Leo.
Apparently.
You're a good man.
So there was no science involved?
No.
Well, you could argue
That's
that there
funny.
was some because people wanted to take it into pre-Big Bang cosmology, but that's...
Oh.
Jesus Christ. I can't spell Promethean for the life of me.
Why are you going to their channel?
Huh? Promethean?
Or are you just checking it out?
No, I keep track of a whole bunch of channels, and I just got a lot of book work to do. So I'm always doing a lot of book work in the background here.
I cannot believe I am subscribed to so many channels. That's what this COVID-19 has done for me. Made me subscribe to must be over 150 channels. It could be more.
You know what's wonderful? Apple TV has this wonderful little remote that's about the size of a toothpick, because they don't think anybody should have to lift anything that weighs more than a toothpick. And you keep losing it in the covers or in the cushions or whatever. And not only that, but you, if you go to YouTube and you have a subscriber list that's about 1,000 long, when you're scrolling down, you scroll down. If you just move your finger just a little bit to the left, it goes back to your subscriptions and goes to the beginning of your list. So the only channel I ever end up going to is Arn Ra, because he's at the beginning of the list. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe it.
Damn it all to hell.
Hello.
Oh, now what the hell is this, Midnight?
Why do I keep doing this every fucking time? This mouse.
Okay,
Fuck Christ almighty.
Okay, you can't come on my channel anymore until you change your name back to Midnight.
Jeez.
Goodbye.
That name is decidedly, that accent of Leo's is decidedly British.
Change your name.
Actually, I was doing Australian.
You know what? After a while, they all start to merge. But okay.
I don't know about that.
I'm unapologetic.
Leo, can I ask you a personal question?
Go talk to somebody from East
There you
London,
go.
and then go
Midnight.
talk to somebody from Melbourne. And
I have no intention to.
What was
Can I
that?
ask you a personal question? Leo,
Sure,
I'm going to ask you a personal
sure.
question. Your hair has gotten kind of thick here lately. I'm just wondering if
Yes, it
you're
has.
changing styles or you're just...
No, I just haven't gotten it cut yet. I need to
Okay.
get it cut. I'm getting it cut this week.
Because I guess
It is quite long.
I've seen you, and then suddenly you had a lot more hair than normal.
It is.
So I was
It is.
thinking-
It is much longer than it needs to be, especially with this fucking 90-something degree weather that we're having, and I'm outside working, so it's.
What
I'm
are
trying
you
to figure out
working
if it's
on?
getting hot early
What are
or
you working?
normal.
What's that?
What are you working?
Just for a buddy of mine that I know, doing some work for him and his wife.
So you're contributing. So you're contributing to the system.
I'm always contributing to the system. My existence is contributing to the system.
Yeah, it was a capitalism joke.
Well, capitalism jokes are inherently exploitative. You shouldn't use them.
Yeah, that's right.
There we
That
go.
was a socialism joke. Woo!
No, I'll get a copyright strike if you tell a capitalism joke.
Yeah, sure.
Well,
Yeah.
capitalism is.
No, you'll just get competed out of the market. Somebody will buy your channel speech.
Oh,
We'll
yeah.
give you $50 million for your channel.
Yeah, Apple will
Only
buy
if you give me half.
I want to call upon Lucifer Almighty, not the biblical Lucifer, but the one in the side chat, where he is located, or she, that 90 degrees is something you wish for.
Somewhere in the southern hemisphere, maybe?
You know, you would say that if you didn't have to experience wet heat.
You talking about humidity?
I live in Texas.
You're talking about
we call it
humidity, right?
humidity.
Yes.
Well,
it's-
okay, Florida, yes, they definitely.
We call it wet heat, but yes.
you
that's
think
another
Florida
name for it.
you think Florida's bad? Come to Iowa.
Does that
No.
make me?
No.
No,
Dry heat is one thing.
actually, Iowa is like empirically worse for humidity than Florida, and the reason for that is most of that 90% of that humidity is from corn respiration. corn will respire 30%.
Yeah, exactly.
30% of the water that it takes on will be respired by corn and put into the atmosphere. In like the weather we've been having, the corn isn't quite to that level to put out that much yet. I mean, it was planted a month and a half ago, maybe. But yeah, it's at least as bad as like Florida and places in Texas that are right along the Gulf that get really, really humid, and when it's like even like 80 degrees out, it can feel like it's almost 90. Yeah, Iowa gets that bad. Nebraska, parts of Minnesota, Illinois, yeah. It's that corn respiration.
Hey, Speed, are you happy?
Wow.
I'm happy, but I drove through Iowa once, and there's corn and more corn. Oh, there's more corn. There's more corn. And then all of a sudden, windmills. But the windmills look like big, tall corn plants. So like windmills for 5 miles and then corn.
You know, I wondered why it was so windy in Iowa, and then I started driving around, and somebody put up all these big fucking fans, and because we got to dry the corn down in the fall, so we put up these big fans, but it just makes it so windy.
What is even this stream about? Demons? What
I don't know.
Who the fuck knows?
Windmill.
What was this stream supposed to be? What was the point of the title?
Andrew has a plan. What's your plan, Andrew?
Oh, I never have a plan. But
I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
That makes two people in the stream.
I don't know if I should go. I don't know if I should go to sleep and wake up at 4 a.m. for my game, or just stay up.
What game?
Yeah, what are you doing?
4 a.m.
I'm not doing anything. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you're shaking the goddamn camera. Stop.
I'm not shaking anything. I don't know what you're talking about. Must be a malfunction.
Seriously, stop.
He's having an earthquake.
I don't know what's going on.
You give me a seizure.
Oh,
but to answer your question, Immutable, was a D&D game. It was supposed to have one yesterday, but like in 4 a.m. Earlier this morning, 4 a.m. But
wait,
is 4 a.m. as a reasonable time for D&D? Jesus hell.
Hey, it's not. Hold on. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. The game master is 6 hours ahead of me.
He needs to get shot.
Is this a game of demons, and more demons?
Well, D&D, yeah, Pathfinder.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Demons.
So did Eden go to sleep?
What?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's. By
the way, I don't know. I don't know if we want to talk about this off air or on air, but Immutable and I just saw something very interesting.
What'd you see?
Yeah, we did.
Where?
It's quite interesting.
Where'd you see it?
On He Who Shall Not Be Named channel. Let's say. Yeah, I had a feeling you'd go there.
I mean, he's doing a public service, as far as I'm concerned. When it comes to calling those people out,
I agree with you.
Who would have think? Who would have thought? Who would have thought we would agree with Voldemort?
I know. Yeah, I know. That's. Yeah, could have fooled me. Jesus.
Whoa, that's interesting.
Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar enough with these individuals to know why that's significant, but it is.
Hey, if you go to his channel, there's just a big blank page.
Because he's a blank page. What do you expect?
There it is. Finally came up. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh, those people. Who? Oh, that whole Shanny thing. I started watching. Somebody was doing a series on Shanny, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? Tell somebody explain Shanny to me.
Speed. I got something to say. Okay, as low as low as you feel about yourself, thank Christ. At least be grateful. You will never be Shanny for Christ.
But
you know what I mean?
Wait, hold on here. You decided to watch Shanny for Christ. What?
No, I decided to watch He Who Shall Not Be Named stream.
I don't know who the fuck that. Are we really talking about Lord Voldemort right now?
Jesus Christ.
We are.
We are. Okay,
I don't know who the fuck y'all are talking about. You type it in the private chat or something, because I'm lost.
Somebody whose channel we've kind of like had something to do with was running a whole bunch of Shanny videos, And I watched a few of them, and they were just like arguments with their boyfriend. No, it was somebody else. Who the
Yeah, it was Icky.
No, it wasn't.
It was Icky Taint. Jesus,
Yeah.
Leo cannot catch
No,
a fucking
it
clue to
wasn't
save his
Icky.
life. God damn.
It was somebody else.
You're so sticky.
Okay. You know what? Can I please
God.
make a new rule? I know this is a new channel, but Leo's not allowed on here when he's high.
Okay.
Who said
No
I'm
more-
high?
No more high, Leo.
Okay,
I
Who
think-
said I'm high?
I
High
think the
on
better-
what? I'm high on
I
life,
think the
yeah.
better rule for this channel is that if Leo is high, we need to be at least as high as Leo.
I don't
Kenny
know
is-
what y'all are talking about. All I said was Icky Taint. Like, I didn't even say anything that even remotely implies intoxication or otherwise euphoric effects from something. And here y'all are talking about.
No, but
I
your
respectfully
behavior,
disagree.
Leo,
I
your
respectfully disagree.
behavior. Yeah, your behavior is similar to how you acted on the Amy Newman's. Like, I could tell when you're high, buddy. Okay, relax.
You ever been high? You like to get high?
No.
Uh-oh.
Okay,
Well,
I never.
That's
I
a
never
problem.
been-
That's a problem, buddy.
Well,
You need to fix
fuck
that.
you.
That's a problem, young man.
I don't think.
You better start
Albinos,
chiefing the herb, amigo.
I don't think albinos can get high.
Maybe that's true, comrade. Maybe that's
Oh, shit.
This
That
channel
would
does
suck.
not condone children using drugs.
I'm
I'm
not
not
using
child.
We
drugs,
also
but
don't
I'm
condone
not a
the mute.
child.
We also
Do
don't
we need
condone
to-
them not
Do
using
we need to
drugs.
get a Cheech and Chong movie on here and critique it?
Yeah. Anybody under 30 is a child, and they shouldn't use
Well, I'm
drugs.
36.
No.
Oh my
According
God.
to neuroscience, anybody under 25 is a child because
Your brain
I'm
is still
still a
fresh.
child.
the prefrontal cortex hasn't developed till 25. Don't ask
Yeah.
why, but it hasn't.
You know what? Have you ever looked into any papers on that? Because
No, I trust the experts, unfortunately.
I'm looking.
okay, no. You're not
What?
listening to experts. You're listening to magazine articles about it.
No, I'm not.
If you trust the experts and you've read their papers,
Not necessarily.
yeah.
When's the last time you read like a theoretical physics paper from like Sean Carroll or like Michio Kaku or anybody like
Yeah, and I
that?
don't know anything about
Who the
physics.
fuck reads that shit from Michio Kaku? I'm
I think
sorry.
he's
but
a-
who?
Hold on.
Why?
I think you don't like him.
I would. He's not somebody I'm going to reference.
I don't know. I mean, he's fairly recognized within string field theory.
Sure, I'm going to reshare this. I forgot to hit audio.
What's up, brain?
Yeah,
bug?
but he's more of a science popularizer than a science educator or science communicator.
Yeah, that's what I
mean,
mean.
isn't
And
that-
it doesn't
isn't
invalidate
that-
his
I'm not
own work.
saying that he doesn't have credentials. I'm not saying that what he says is wrong. I don't like the way that he communicates things. I especially don't like the disemphasis, like he puts it out, like the way that he talks about string theories, that it has to be correct or that it's already been proven and it's probably not correct at all. The way that he talks about things, I'm not particularly fond of.
Leo,
Go watch Sean Carroll and listen to him describe the same concepts,
string
and
theory is.
then
I
you
would
will
say-
understand what I mean.
No, hold
So-
on.
so
hold
I've
on.
listened- hold on.
I need to.
Good.
I just want to say something. Leo, string theory is true.
No,
Okay.
it's not.
Excuse me.
Whatever. Go ahead. I was making.
It's definitely not.
I've listened to Michio defend string theory before, and he defends it. I think he's just trying to kind of boil string theory down into its most basic form. I don't think he's saying it has to be correct. I think he's just saying like it's the only potential theory for a unified theory of everything.
Except it's not.
I mean, look.
Loop quantum
Leo,
gravity isn't a unified
Well,
theory of everything
I
either.
know-
hang on,
I
hang
know
on.
that I wasn't saying
I need to ask a serious question, Leo. Have you ever read the book "The Elegant Universe" by Brian Greene?
No.
You should. Even
I'm not-
hold on. Even if you don't think string theory is valid, you should read it.
I didn't say it
regardless.
wasn't valid. I said it's not true.
Whatever.
I don't know in what sense it's not true. I mean, it's
In the sense that it doesn't accurately describe the universe in which we reside.
fine. You
well,
can still model it.
I still think you should read "The Elegant Universe."
I mean, that's
see,
why people are working on it, to see if there's a version of string theory that can work.
So far, they've come up with nothing. String theory is more used to tease some sort of truth out of reality. String theory didn't even originate as a method of unifying the physics. It originated to explain quantum chromodynamics, which failed to, or rather fell to.
Okay, I really hate to
what
do
we
this,
now call
but
quantum chromodynamics, which is gauge field theory, which has done significantly better in describing our most fundamental aspects of reality than string theory could ever hope to.
well, I really hate to do this, but if I give you $100, would you read the book?
No.
Okay, then never mind. I'm saving myself $100.
The reason is because I've got so much on my reading list already that I just don't.
It's a short book, 400 pages. So you could do it.
I'm not saying I could read that in a day. I just don't have the time. I've got other stuff. I've got so much. Holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's ways that string theory could prove as viable as a model. But
I think it's viable, it's just not true.
Well, I think I think it's closer to truth. There was a recent interview with Michio Kaku to celebrate one of his new books, and he outlined a prediction of string theory, or kind of like an exercise that string theory could perform that, for Michio, would kind of once and for all settle like the validity and accurateness of string theory.
But
and that would
which
be
experiment?
Well, it's not an experiment because you don't need experiments necessarily to validate scientific theories.
I mean,
I'm not necessarily disagreeing with that, but I can't say that I agree with it. I think it's a little nuanced.
So Michio said essentially, what I recall him saying is that if you could start from the first principles of string theory and derive, say, like the mass of an electron or something like that, then that would essentially settle string theory as being as a valid model of reality.
I mean, it's true. It
doesn't make it true.
Well, no, it's true. It's true that string theory hasn't really been shown to be true. But from what I understand about it, it makes sense when you think about it, because each string vibrating on its own frequency gives rise to let's see, if I remember correctly, up quarks, down quarks, and then those give rise to protons. What was that?
Nothing. Continue.
No, I mean, to me, it's kind of weird that string theory is one of the only models that gravity kind of just falls out of it.
Look,
and you don't need to insert it.
All I'm saying
there are others.
All I'm saying is that there's a symphony to the universe we should pay attention to.
Yeah, I don't look at like how mathematically beautiful something is to determine whether, I think it's a good description of reality. I look at its utility, and string theory isn't being used.
I don't know. I mean, I think when a theory exhibits like extremely high levels of symmetry and things of that nature, then especially when it comes to like physics, then it's probably going to end up being true. Not always.
I don't think that necessarily follows. You can find a lot of symmetries in a lot of mathematical models, but that doesn't mean they're going to accurately model our reality. Our reality might not possess the same symmetries.
Right, but for whatever reason, the equations that govern our universe does preserve not preserve, but does
hold on, I got a
embed
question.
Notion of symmetry.
I got a question for Leo. Remind me again why multiverses can't exist.
I don't think that they can't exist. I just think that they don't exist.
Right, but why don't you think they exist?
Occam's razor. There's no we don't need them.
Well, hold on. Occam's razor doesn't apply. Doesn't always apply, Leo.
I mean, it does.
That
postulating other universes that we can't confirm the existence of, that are fundamentally unfalsifiable, complicates the matter. I don't need to do that. I'm a naturalist. There is this one reality. There aren't any others. We have this one.
Hold on.
If somebody wants to believe different, that's fine, but I don't.
Well, technically, here's the interesting thing about that, is that if you take the Schrödinger equation seriously, and if you take it at face value, Occam's razor suggests that multiple universes are the most likely. Most likely.
It says that there are multiple timelines are most likely, and then that leads you to the Everettian model of quantum mechanics.
Well, okay, Leo, I have.
You would have one universe, but multiple timelines. I have
a quick question for you. Why wouldn't the pattern repeat?
What pattern?
Okay, look. we have stars, right? We we have stars and planets. Those stars, make up a galaxy. Now, there's more than one galaxy, right? So why wouldn't there be other universes?
Whoa, who's doing that?
Leo.
I don't know.
Not.
That was probably me.
By the way, no, I'm not a I don't know what you mean when you ask me if I'm a pragmatist. In what context? Anyway, continue, Midnight.
As I was trying to say, why wouldn't the pattern repeat? Why?
No, continue. I'm sorry. Continue.
Okay. From the way I see it, and maybe I could be totally fucking wrong, but to me it makes sense that there would be there would be other universes. Yeah, we can't see them, we can't falsify them, but if you look at nature, you look at the universe, there are stars, then there's planets, those stars make up a galaxy, and then there's multiple galaxies in the universe. You know what I mean? Why wouldn't there be other universes with other universes with their own galaxies, stars, and planets? Why wouldn't the pattern repeat? Why hold on? Why wouldn't nature be what the fuck is what the fuck is that pattern called to where to where it's help me out here, Immutable.
I think Cafe's got it in the chat. Fractal.
Yes,
Fractal, something like that.
Yes. Why wouldn't reality be a fractal?
Well,
because I don't think it is. I don't think it looks like that.
Even according to Everettian quantum.
I'm a naturalist, so I'm looking for
so am I,
the model that is the most simple, but also still explains everything that we need to explain.
Right.
Adding other universes means there's more things that need to be explained that we at least currently can't observe. So where I'm not saying that other universes can't exist, I'm just saying I don't think they do. And I don't think there's anything that actually gets you to multiple universes. I don't think there's anything that goes beyond conjecture as it comes to the concept of a multiverse.
I don't think you're adding anything to the theory by saying multiple universes. I think
anything to what theory?
I don't think you're adding anything to quantum mechanics by invoking multiple universes.
I wasn't saying that. I said naturalism. There's more to explain there. There's other universes. We don't. How are you just going to assume that they look like ours? We don't know that. We have no idea. They could look. I mean, that's just more stuff to explain. It's tacking on more than what we really need. We don't need it to explain the things that we observe.
But hold on, Leo. Let me give you an example. Okay, say we discovered for some reason, we discovered say we discovered that our solar system is in a galaxy, right? Now that explains everything we ever need to know. And so somebody comes on and says, well I think there are there are other galaxies out there. How do you know? We haven't seen them. You know what I mean? That's what you're sounding like.
Well, sure, but we actually do need those things to understand how our reality works.
I know, and I'm saying, and
there's also nothing indicating that there are other universes out there. There's nothing that gets even close to escaping
Leo,
conjecture.
why aren't you open to the possibility? Like
I never said I wasn't. I never said it's not possible. I just said I don't think that there are. It's entirely possible. There's numerous models that can give you a multiverse. I just don't think that there is one. I never said it's not possible. I never said it's not plausible. I just don't think that there is a multiverse.
I just take it to be that it's the simplest. I just take it to be it's the simplest model, and it makes the fewest assumptions. And for that reason, it's probably accurate, even if we can't observe them.
I don't think the simplest model includes things we can't explain.
Well, you're
but just because
you're conflating things we can't explain to things we can't observe.
So how do we observe other universes?
Oh my fucking Christ!
When did I say we can observe other universes? I just said we probably can't. Is there anything
that we would expect if other universes existed that we know of?
What should we expect? I mean, probably not. Probably more or less the same thing, because the variations you expect. Well, in the universe that we currently occupy, right, or in the particular branch. You're asking, like, what variation should we see if, like, the Everettian model is true?
Well, but the thing is that the Everettian model does not posit actual other physical, in some sense, disconnected universes from ours. There's only one universe, but there's a branching timeline to that universe. We experience the way that we experience time only follows a particular singular path. It's very much linear, but time branches. Those aren't other universes. It's the same universe.
Right. So are you
timelines through that universe? So the Everettian model doesn't actually posit other universes, and something deeply hidden, where Sean Carroll, being, in my opinion, its primary defender, argues that it's not really other actual unit. It's not like a multiverse in the sense of, like, chaotic eternal inflation or something. It's different timelines of the same universe.
Right. So it's a parallel branch of the same wave function.
There isn't like a parallel universe that looks exactly like ours.
No.
That's
not what
happens. It's that there's different timelines. That's one universe because we know that time is not, in the theoretical.
Wait, hold on.
What I mean,
timelines. Doesn't that there's a timelines? Wouldn't that wouldn't that create other universes?
No.
What I mean by branching in this case, right, is just when a particular quantum measurement is different. So, for instance, I observe an electron.
Different world lines.
Right.
Different geodesics.
Different world lines, which
but it's the same. It's the same space time. There is no splitting. There is no branching. It's not a different space time separate from the one before. Same space time, same universe, one universe, different timelines, different world lines through it. We think that it would be something like another universe because we view time in a very linear manner. Everettian says no, time is not linear. It branches out. It's one universe. Same one universe and all the branches. Different branches through it.
I really wish. Let me say it again. I really wish.
5 times.
What? Thank you, Speed. Couldn't tell that already.
Okay, I was pointing out you already said really a lot. So okay, go on, Midnight. I'm sorry.
Okay. I really hope I'm alive. I'm alive to see us discover another universe, so I can be like, Leo, you were wrong. There you go.
And I would say, of course. Oh yeah, I was.
Well, yes,
until that day comes,
already.
I don't. Well, I mean, if you're referring to CCC, CCC's wrong.
Well, at the very least, the people who Penrose probably needs to think about his theory a little bit more and refine it a bit more.
No, I mean, even so, it's wrong.
You're wrong. I'm joking.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about Lee Smollen's kind of similar knockoff of it. CNS, I believe it's called.
Yeah, brain bug. He's only rolling it in this timeline. Yeah.
I just don't like, cyclic models and multiverse models because they never get past the point of conjecture. We never really use them to make predictions about the world. They're useless.
Well, I mean, I suppose you could say, like, there are branches of science that will, like, kind of remain theoretical.
Hey, Speed, would you mind uploading that to the Horseman Drive? Because that looks interesting to read.
I'm not sure if did I download this. I got a description in the what do you call it? Let's see. Does it have a PDF? Let me see if it's got a PDF.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's branches of science that are theoretical, but even if they're just strictly theoretical, they're still valid forms of science.
So, like, what I would say is when we look at things like the best models that we currently have in quantum gravity research, we don't see a multiverse. What we see is one universe that in most instances contracts to what we would call like the Big Bang, and then there's sort of a bounce there outward into another universe that in the end that extends infinitely in both directions.
Leo is so close to the multiverse. Holy shit!
But that wouldn't be a multiverse. It's connected there, so that's one universe sort of stretched in two different ways.
No, I was saying, I was saying you're so against it.
Well, I'm not against it. I just don't think it's really plausible. It's possible. I don't think it's plausible. What are you debating T-Jump on? And also, where at? I want to watch that.
Who's debating T-Jump?
Apparently, Danny.
Natty Boy 2.
Oh my god. That would be a shit show.
I want to know what the debate is on. Debate naturalism?
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, if you debate T-Jump on naturalism, ooh, I don't know. Ooh, man. That'd be
I don't know.
interesting debate to watch.
I've listened to some of T-Jump stuff, and some of it's alright, but some of it's not impressive.
I mean,
I
my
agree.
money's on T-Jump. No offense to Danny.
I was gonna say, like, when it comes to like the naturalism or like arguments based in empiricism, I do think T-Jump does well in those debates.
Yes, I'm biased.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's...
Yes.
It's Johnson 2010, and it's in the Horseman Drive. So.
Thank you.
I don't know if like debating empiricism is something we should necessarily like pat people on the back for, because yeah, it's important, but it's something anybody can do. Yeah, doing it well is a different story.
It also doesn't apply to everything, so.
No, I mean, some of the arguments are fairly philosophical and nuanced, and that can be rather annoying.
I'm definitely not an empiricist.
Yeah, empiricist dogma has its own issues.
Or a scientismist. I'm not one of those either.
Yeah, not one of those loons.
I'm a scientismist.
I don't want to almost fall into logical positivism. I don't want to tease around with that.
Yeah, I've tempted my philosophical.
Where's the age of
I tried to figure out what logical positivism really is for a long time now.
I've tried telling you, and you reject its definition.
I keep getting really, really different views on it.
No, you haven't. I've given you one view and one view only.
Why would I take your word for anything, Mutable?
Because there is only one view of logical positivism.
Not really. Maybe, I don't know.
Okay. It was like a whole movement, okay? And it was a whole bunch of people that pushed back on...
Yes, it was one movement under a unifying view.
Okay, it was a pushback against metaphysics,
yes.
Right? And claiming that if you can't see it, figure it out. Let's see.
Essentially, it was a pushback against this whole idea that science is the best way of understanding our universe.
Yeah, but it's like verifiability and
verification,
empiricism, verificationism, and anti-metaphysics.
Yeah, I don't subscribe to any of that shit, so I don't understand how.
So yeah, why are you a scientismist?
Because I believe science is the best way to start explaining anything.
You're about 100 years late to the party.
How do I start explaining basic arithmetic to somebody?
How do you start?
You're going to have to start with.
And I can certainly guarantee you, I'm not going to be using science. Science depends.
Math is science.
On arithmetic. Well, I would not argue math.
I mean, hold on.
I would argue math is a philosophy like science, and that they work hand in hand, but they are separate.
Hold on. Can we just agree that the word science means knowledge? So saying that.
No, I can't.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. The word science means knowledge.
Etymologically, yes, that's what the word meant. I'm not going to conflate I'm not going to conflate the word science with the word knowledge in any meaningful epistemological sense. That would be ridiculous to do.
It's not conflating when that was the original meaning.
Etymologically speaking, the word scientia or scientia, depending on how you pronounce it in Latin, meant knowledge. But that saying that the word science today means knowledge, no, absolutely not.
Leo.
God, you're so rigid.
Leo, if you had a bag
it's not rigid.
Leo.
It's just
Yes, it is. But go on, Speed.
If you had a bag of oranges, Leo, and you had to teach a child about arithmetic. If you had to teach a child about arithmetic and you had a bag of oranges, okay, what would you do?
A bag of what and a what?
Why do I need a bag of oranges to teach?
How would you teach a child like a 3-year-old about arithmetic?
How would I do it? It would be. I would probably start with something like the concept of numbers or sets.
Okay, how would you
explaining that? I mean, I'm not going to sit here and like give you literally exactly what I would say. It's just not necessary.
You should,
but I would, because I'm not going to fucking lecture everybody here and get this. No, I'm sorry. No.
How would you teach math to a 3-year-old? Would you start telling them about set theory?
Well, I was literally getting into the explanation of how. And I had mentioned, yes, number theory, set theory, operations, what operations are, things like that. And obviously, you say 3-year-old. I probably wouldn't want to start with a 3-year-old. I would go maybe like a 5 or 6. A 3-year-old, I don't know, honestly, has a strong enough linguistic understanding for at least myself personally to want to try to explain something like that to them. I know a lot
of 3-year-olds that can count to 10.
I'm not denying. Wait, okay.
Have you had a brain
what does that
transplant
have
from a
to
3-year-old?
do with anything that I said?
Okay.
Come on
so
now.
Would you not start showing them real objects in the world and counting them to show them numbers?
Of course you would. Who's saying otherwise?
Well, yeah, you need
scientism, motherfuckers.
That nothing to do with science. That's an aspect of the methods that are used in science, but that doesn't define science.
Doesn't define. I didn't say it defined science. I said it was a part of science.
Yeah, but yes, not the other way around. So when you go to understand mathematics, you're not going to be using science. You're going to be using things along the line. Well, logic can obviously play a strong part in understanding mathematics. Things like epistemology are going to play in that with when you're defining something as true or proven or what have you. You're going to need to define those terms.
Clear this up.
But you're not going to be using science to define one of the very tools that science itself uses. That would be circular, and I would argue I don't think that would be circular in a virtuous manner.
That is my presidential slogan. Scientism, motherfuckers.
And it fails for so many reasons.
I should probably be sleeping now.
What does it fail again?
And it fails for so many reasons.
Why can't you explain anything about humans and the world using science?
Should I stay up?
Yes, you should.
Midnight?
Yeah, you should.
I would prefer you to contribute to this discussion.
Wait, Midnight, are you awake?
Yeah, I'm just wondering whether I should go to sleep for my game at 4 a.m. or stay up. And that's sleep tomorrow.
Wait, so hold on. How much sleep did you get last night?
None at all.
When's the last time you slept? And how long?
Fuck, I can't even remember. I know I've slept before the game, before the supposed game, we were supposed to have yesterday, but I can't remember.
It's a little after midnight where you're at, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, if you got a game at 4 and you can't remember the last time you slept, you should probably go take a nap. Eat a sandwich and go to sleep, my friend.
Did you answer
this question? Pass out.
Leo, did you answer this question for Andrew?
What question? I'm not on the screen. How do you feel about the 6-month, the ekpyrotic cyclic universe? I don't really know all that much about it. I know it's not strongly adhered to and that there are harsh criticisms of it. Sean Carroll has, I believe, been one of the people that criticized it. I think even Alan Guth said that it's interesting, but had some criticisms for it as well. I mean, obviously, that doesn't in and of itself speak to the rigor or the technicality of that model. I just haven't looked into it enough, I guess, to speak of it on my own merits.
I mean, I can make a joke
I think it doesn't it. I thought it was sort of incorporated something like thermodynamics, where once the universe reaches like a state of thermodynamic equilibrium, and there's sort of like another big bang that happens, and then this sort of cooling process happens again, and it's continually it's something along those lines. I think. Let me You know what? Let me go here and see what we're going on.
Tesla beat me to it.
You got to do it though. You got to. You
Right.
Princeton University. Let me see.
Right.
There you go. I knew you had to do it. You had one in you. I linked 2 articles in the description that push back on that 25-year-old maturity thing, and when you look into the number of papers that have been written on it, no one has made a connection between maturity and what they're finding when they image the frontal lobes of teenagers. So it is pretty much pop science. Look into it. See if you can find a real link.
I mean, is pop science always bad?
That kind of pop science is
no, but it's usually inaccurate to some degree.
Yeah, that kind of pop science is kind of destructive because they're thinking about raising the age of drinking and things like that to 25 and voting.
That's a good idea.
In some countries.
That's a good idea.
I think they should lower it to 10.
And that's why you probably should not be a politician.
What?
I'm not a politician. How do you... Okay, so follow-up question from Andrew. How do we know inflation is correct when the cyclic model can explain the CMB fluctuations as well? Interesting question.
Yeah, I think there's something about the assumptions that it makes when it makes the prediction. I don't know if I could find the article from Ethan Siegel, but something about that. It can reproduce the fluctuations that we see, but it doesn't do it nearly as well as the current model that we have does. So why would we use a significantly more complex and complicated model to explain something when we have a much simpler, much more smooth model to explain it with?
I honestly really wish I could upload all knowledge in the world to my brain, so I could talk about this.
Anyway, next straw man, Leo.
Yes.
What?
Straw man of what?
Scientism.
It's not a straw man. You haven't presented the real version of it. Well, whatever real in this case happens to mean.
I said science is the very best explanation for anything we encounter as human beings.
Yeah, and I showed with mathematics that that's just not true.
I mean, I do have to push. I
did not say that you teach 2-year-old, 3-year-olds math with science, but actually you kind of do.
Well, then it's not the best model for teaching what mathematics is it?
I didn't say teaching mathematics. I said explaining.
So then science.
Anything
science doesn't explain. Science doesn't explain math.
This.
How does science explain math?
Hang on.
That's what I want to know.
This is why I honestly think it was a bad idea to change natural philosophy to science, because it creates so much fucking confusion. It makes so much sense to say, hey, you know what? Natural philosophy, deals with God damn it. Natural philosophy deals with understanding nature in its own terms.
Yes.
Rather than saying science does it and fuck philosophy.
Exactly. Science is a methodology, and I don't think that methodology best explains all of the aspects of human existence.
I honestly think you missed the point of what I said.
What explains all the aspects?
Well, there are arguably aspects of like natural philosophy, as some people would call it, that are not scientific, and part of that would be. Part of that would be things like the nature of space, the nature of time, the nature of causation. Yeah,
metaphysics. That's metaphysics, but it has nothing to do with natural philosophy.
Well, I think metaphysics is incorporated into both natural philosophy and what we today call science.
Right. So, okay. So why was it changed? Why was natural philosophy changed into science?
Well, that's just a matter of linguistics. The terminology we use to refer to these methodologies for understanding the physical reality in which we reside changed as languages evolved.
Right. But what I'm saying, calling natural philosophy, like science, has created this disconnect between philosophy, between philosophy and science. You know what I mean? Like some people say.
I don't know if I would agree that the linguistic change has contributed to that.
Oh, trust me.
I think that because when we look at in history, when we started really calling it science, which I want to say would have been in probably the 15th century, 16th century maybe. what we see is that people still understood science as a philosophy, as a form of philosophizing about the world.
Back then, but not today.
I think
not today.
Yes, I think that has to do with other reasons.
Look. When I was in school, there was a clear distinction between science and philosophy. Like
I'm not denying that.
Yeah, well, there shouldn't be, right?
Well, of course, I agree.
Then what's the? Never mind.
I'm disagreeing that the reason for that is that we started calling natural philosophy science.
Yes, that is the reason for that. Look,
what's the evidence for that?
Literally, how you phrase things affects how you view the world.
Well, I mean, I don't disagree with that, but like I said, when we look at after it was started being referred to as science, people still understood it very much as a philosophy, all the way up until I would argue probably within the last 30 or 40 years.
Yeah, no, most people did.
Most people did. That's all that matters.
That's all that matters.
People, most of humans. I mean, when we look at what like all these, I mean, people like Descartes, Hume. I mean, all of them. Kant. When we look at what they wrote and when they talked about science, they understood it as a philosophy.
Yeah.
When we look at those in the 18th and 19th century, they understood it as a philosophy.
Leo, I'm talking about normal people, not philosophers.
Whoa. Hold on. Okay, that's a step too far. I think a lot of people, like even going back to like very, very ancient philosophers were somewhat normal. I mean, like Heraclitus and people like that.
Look, the average Joe. Okay, forgive my phrasing. The average person. Is that better?
Well, at this point, I think that this is an argument that I don't think either one of us could really truly defend. I would just defer to the fact that despite the linguistic change, science was still understood primarily as being something very philosophical. We can see this expressed throughout human history. But I mean, we can say, well, your average individual. But then at that point, I think that the discussion becomes trivial at that point.
Well,
I mean,
and I think
because we can't really go on an individual basis. We can't go back to history and interview every last person. It just becomes trivial.
I think there's 2 points that are important here as well, right? Number one is that I don't think it's the normal people. Not always, right? There are counterfactuals. I don't think but on average, I don't think it's the normal people who really are the ones responsible for.
Now he's using the word normal, huh?
Here the fuck we go.
Hey, you fucked me, I fucked with you. There you go.
Well, okay. If you're into that kind of shit,
you get the horns.
Buckle up, everybody.
I don't think most normal quote unquote people are the people who really contribute like to the body of knowledge in our world. It's more the people who are rebellious and aren't satisfied with the world's current answers that end up, revolutionizing the world and causing like new paradigm shifts. But the other is that there are different like phraseologies and there are different ways of like constructing the same concept in a way that semantically mean the same thing. Semantically, they're equivalent to one another. So I mean,
forget it.
I think most people recognize like the difference between. I think most people would say like that natural philosophy and science are more or less the same thing now.
Okay, you're still in school, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I want you to ask your classmates if there's a difference between science and philosophy and see what you get.
Well, I think most people are going to answer yes. I mean, if you qualify that as like science and natural philosophy, though, probably no.
Okay, try that. Ask if there's a difference between science and natural philosophy. Try that. Let me know the results.
You went to school, Immutable?
I did, unlike some people.
Wow.
And if you did go to school speed, you need to get a refund.
Okay,
you need to get a refund on that part of the course in discrete.
You need to get a refund for whoever the hell taught you scientism but who did a botched job of it.
I taught myself.
Oh, well, that explains a lot.
Yeah, it does. Free thinker.
It explains a lot of the stupid that comes out of it.
Beautiful. You do realize you're insulting the host, right?
And still he tolerates me. I know.
Not really. I love you guys.
Yep. Yeah. So why does Leo keep showing this video?
It only stings when it's true. I get it.
Not really.
Says the man who doesn't understand the difference between validity and soundness.
No, that's not what we were arguing about. We were arguing about formal validity and informal validity.
I don't know what the
wait,
fuck
hold on. What's the difference?
You're talking about? Because
Speed was
informal
trying to
validity
say.
is not a
Speed was
thing.
trying to say there's the difference between something being formally fucking shit. Something being formally invalid and informally invalid. He was saying there isn't a distinction.
I said there's no such thing as informally invalid. Okay, informal fallacy is a very different thing than informally invalid. Valid and validity and soundness are very precise terms in logic and mathematics. The mathematics
Yes,
of logic.
I agree.
Very precise. And that argument of John Maddox's was valid.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
It was not valid. No, it wasn't. We can bring it up, and I can. No. We can bring it up. I'll stop sharing my screen. You can bring it up, and I can explain once again. And if you were willing to bring Danny in here, I'd almost guarantee you'd agree with me. It's not valid. It is an invalid deductive because it attempts to be deductive. It utilizes modus ponens, I believe. It is not valid. It is not a valid argument.
Its deductive form is one that is valid.
No, it's not.
Hold on. Argument form, quote unquote.
The form it attempts to use is the way that it uses it, how the argument is, how the actual premises are laid out. Commit a non sequitur. It's not valid. It is not a valid argument.
It's an informal fallacy,
let me explain why.
not a formal fallacy.
We look at P1. If semantic meaning is immaterial and life requires semantics, then the cause of life is immaterial. Right off the bat, you're at a non sequitur. Life possessing the property of semantics, which itself possesses the property of immateriality, does not in any way imply that the cause of life must also possess the property of immateriality. That's a non sequitur. That doesn't logically follow. This is a deductively invalid argument. It's not valid.
Informal fallacy.
This is not.
It's invalid.
This is not a non sequitur. This is not a non sequitur. Okay.
It is a non sequitur.
No, it isn't a non sequitur.
It is a non sequitur.
Can I see the above? I want to see the argument. Is it the original? Can I see the original?
The argument is formally
valid.
Why don't
you look at the logical form, Danny, and tell me what's wrong with the logical form? Okay. What's wrong with this logical form?
Okay, let's see. So that's just basically P1 is just conditional. There's nothing there for P2 and P3. Is that supposed to happen?
Basically, P1, P2, and P3 are premises.
Yeah, I don't know what P2 or P3 is. Is that what's the notation?
Right, you might want to go back up.
I see. Okay, I see. I missed it. Okay. So
if
you scroll back down, or do you want me to look at this?
Yeah. Here's where I assigned the atoms basically to different parts of the sentence. You see the and. So anyway, he's basically putting his argument. It's a real disgustingly juvenile argument. Okay, P1 basically states that we want to prove Q, right? So he says, okay, basically premise 1, P2 and P3 is Q. Then he grants P2 and P3, and you do a conjunction in, and you end up with P2 and P3 from premises P2 and P3. Okay, P2 and P3. Then you do an arrow out, and you arrive at Q. Therefore, Q.
Yeah, so I think this is valid, but I have to.
Yeah, it's a valid argument.
But can you go up? It's just a. It seems
well,
like
when you look when you look at what he's doing, it's a disgusting argument. I mean, it's just not. Well, I mean, he's basically
right, because the first premise is contentious, right?
Yeah,
So am I allowed to speak now, or are we just gonna play the censor game?
If you're gonna overtalk everybody, then
I wasn't over talking. He was asking the form of the argument, and I was about to give the form of the argument, and then I was kicked.
Well, here's the fucking form of the argument right here. You can't deny that I derived the form of the argument properly.
I put it in a lot nicer format, and
the form of the argument is valid. The form of the argument you can use, like everybody agrees, modus ponens is valid, but you can have it applied in real time to an argument, and it's invalid because the conclusion doesn't follow. I'm not denying that the form that like without all this stuff, like just the P1, like just the formal structure there is valid, but when he applies it to this argument, the conclusion cannot be logically inferred from the premises. And this is an attempt. No, it can't.
No, it can't.
So, let me explain. The semantic meaning is immaterial is the second premise. I think that P1 there should just go away. P2 to me should just be P1, 3P, P2, and then you have your
no, but that's his argument. I'm sorry.
Argument. Speed. Go back to the argument itself.
Because I want to explain why this is not a valid argument.
Here. Go back to
looks valid to me, though.
No. Go back to the P and Q. Danny, I don't even think the argument is valid according to its own structure. And I mean that by like.
I just want to explain it, but we're not looking at the argument anymore.
So, can you please go to the thing?
I'm trying to find where you wrote the original argument for John Maddox. Did we link John Maddox in here somewhere?
Go back up. You just passed it.
No, that was.
Go up.
This is what we're looking at.
That's fine. That'll work
again. Right there. Yes.
There we go.
Okay, we got
right.
So P1 looks to me to just be the argument. It's not really a premise. It's the argument because there's if and then there's and then P2 is actually the premise one formally of the argument. P3 is actually premise two of the formal argument. Then you have the two conclusions. So let's examine this. Semantic meaning is immaterial. For the sake of this here, I'm going to grant that semantic meaning is immaterial. Premise two, what is here premise three? Life requires semantics. For the sake of the argument, I'll grant that. So semantic meaning is immaterial and life requires semantics, which is a proper conjunction of P2 and P3. 100%. I agree with that. Conclusion, the cause of life is immaterial. No, that doesn't follow. And this is why. We can grant that life requires semantics and that the meaning contained in semantics is immaterial, but that doesn't follow then that the cause of life must possess the property of being immaterial. I need to see the argument for that, and this doesn't give it. It presumes that when that does not deductively follow from these premises, since this purports to be a deductive argument and the conclusion is not actually deductively inferred from the premises, it is an invalid deductive argument. This is an invalid argument. So it commits a non sequitur. You cannot truly logically draw that conclusion from those premises. The fact that some object possesses some property P that possesses some subproperty X does not mean that the cause of that object must possess that property X. That does not follow.
Speed, I think what you've written
Danny,
here,
can I have a shot at this?
I think what Speed's written here is different than what's originally above.
Can we go to the community page of LPP? But Speed, can I comment on this for like 5 seconds?
Can you what?
So what you can infer from the statement, right, is only the concatenation of only the conjunction of the two, right? So what you can infer from this, right, by conjoining P2 and P3 or P1, P2, however it happens to be formally written, is first, well, semantic meaning is immaterial and life requires semantics. So life requires semantic meaning is immaterial is the only thing you can actually conclude from that argument.
Yeah, that life requires an immaterial thing to exist, but that doesn't mean what causes life to exist must also possess the same quality. That does not follow from this argument.
Right. You need to, first of all, you need more premises to get there, and you also need to justify some of the premises as well.
Yeah, I mean, I granted the truth of the premises just to show that the argument is deductively invalid. I'm sorry.
Okay, Corey Knight will.
The form isn't. It's a good.
Corey Knight will hit the nail on the head. P1 is literally a tautology. It's his argument, not a tautology, but it's his argument. Yeah. Basically, that is his whole argument in the first premise.
That's semantic meaning is immaterial and life requires semantics and
let me get my word in here. Look, P1 is his claim. That's what he wants to show. right? And he needs an argument for P1. But in terms
that's not how he presented it. Basically,
I know. I don't care. Well, his
claim is this: that cause of life is immaterial. That's his claim.
Yeah, no, that's the conclusion.
Another claim.
That's the conclusion that he reached.
Look. I'm saying P1 is a claim, and he doesn't get it.
Well, semantic meaning is immaterial. That's a claim. That's a proposition. Life requires semantics. That's also a proposition. Yeah, Danny's right. Those are obviously propositions.
Claims, right?
Yeah.
All premises are claims.
Yeah, they're truth.
No, it's not his claim. It's his argument.
Wait, are you saying? Wait, no. The premise 1 isn't actually a premise. That's because there you can see an if, and then. It's not a premise. It's an argument.
I'm fine with that being a premise. I'm just saying that one needs to be supported. It's not an argument in itself. If I say if A then B, that's not an argument. That's just a claim.
The first premise is actually a syllogism. It's not a proper premise.
The premise is semantic.
That's just a conditional, guys. It's like
yes. That's what it is. Essentially, the argument would go: semantic meaning. Premise 1, semantic meaning Jesus Christ is immaterial. Premise 2, life requires semantics. Conclusion: therefore, the cause of life must be immaterial. But that doesn't ultimately follow.
I think this is a valid argument. It's just
I can't see how. How does it follow that because life has an element to it that is immaterial, that whatever causes life must be immaterial?
You're look, to show whether something's valid or invalid, you don't need to be concerned with the content of each proposition, right? So
exactly. It's just whether the conclusion logically draws from the propositions or the premises laid out. This conclusion does not explicitly.
The way I see it is something like, essentially, the argument is something like, if A and B, then C, A and B, the second premise, and then the conclusion is C. That's valid.
I don't think that's the form. It's saying more like if A. So hold on.
I can't find the original argument.
If A possesses property B that has subproperty X, then the cause of A must also possess subproperty X. That does not follow. I'm sorry, it doesn't.
The logical.
Valid. Let me try to explain. I guess.
Yeah.
The idea is that. Wait, it went away. Okay, but look at what's written P2 and P3. That we can just substitute that as A and B. Okay?
Yes. I granted that 100%.
Okay, so then the first premise P1 is something like if A and B, then C, right? That's the first premise.
Oh, I don't know. It doesn't seem that that's what's being said. That if this, then that. It's saying if this, then some property contained within this, and therefore the cause must possess the same property.
Okay, so we're just interpreting the first premise differently. But you agree that if it's interpreted the way I'm saying, right, it's valid. I've already conceded the form that you're referring to is a valid form. I just don't think it's properly applied when we include the semantic of the actual argument into it. The conclusion does not actually logically follow from its premises. But that's what valid means.
I know. And that's why I'm saying it's not valid, because the conclusion does not logically follow from the premises. You cannot conclude. Hold on. You cannot conclude from the fact that semantic meaning is immaterial and life has semantic meaning that the cause of life is immaterial.
You're too concerned with the content. You're too concerned with the content. Forget about the content. It could have been if it's a cat, it has 3 tails. It doesn't matter, right? If Leo is talking, then he's over talking or someone, right? That doesn't matter what the content is, right? Just take the variable.
Well, then, you're just talking about the bare form of the argument.
Right, that's all validity.
Yeah, I've already conceded that the bare form it ultimately reduces to a modus ponens. Of course, modus ponens is valid, but you can apply it. You can apply it in a way where the conclusion doesn't that somebody gave you does not actually follow from the premises they gave you. So it would still you would just be not actually using modus ponens, or you would be using it invalidly. It would be an invalid argument. That's what I'm saying is happening here. The form that they're trying to use obviously is a valid form. It's just not actually valid when you apply it to the argument that is being made. It doesn't actually succeed in presenting that formal argumentative structure in a valid manner. The argument is invalid.
Okay, so you're not equivocating on valid?
Yep, no. He is.
No, I'm not.
I think he is.
What 2 definitions of the word valid am I using?
Well, that's just
okay. What we're pushing back on, Leo, is the word valid. Valid argument has a very specific meaning in mathematics.
I know this.
Okay, and you're saying that this argument is invalid when
Yes.
this argument is perfectly valid mathematically.
But it's not valid. How is it valid? So a deductive argument, in order to be valid, the conclusion must logically follow from the premises.
I think what
hold on here, because I'm trying to make this as simple as I can.
You're right. You're right.
I know.
Hold on. A deductive argument is valid if and only if its conclusion logically follows from the premises. Correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so if you have an argument that purports to be a deductively valid argument, but the conclusion does not logically follow from the premises, is it a deductively valid argument?
No.
This argument, the conclusion does not logically follow from the premises. How is it valid?
Wait, but if it's in the form of modus ponens, then it does follow.
I wouldn't argue it successfully in that form.
Okay, wait, is it so you're disagreeing that it's in modus ponens?
Not in a valid structure, no.
Okay, well then you're right. If it's not modus ponens, it's not valid.
Well, it's not a valid modus ponens. Like, that's kind of the concept, isn't it? That if the argument ultimately isn't valid, then it isn't really modus ponens because the conclusion doesn't actually follow. Yeah, that's essentially what I'm saying.
A modus ponens. It seems like a straightforward modus ponens.
It's a modus ponens, but the issue it's taking is that the truth of the premises can't logically entail the truth of the conclusion that John's wanting to create with it.
So it can't be deductively valid.
No, it does, right? If the
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Life having semantics and semantics being immaterial does not in any way, shape, or form logically entail the cause of life being itself immaterial.
You're just disputing the first premise's truth value, but the whole point
I can grant that semantic meaning is immaterial, but the fact that it's immaterial and it's contained in life does not mean that the cause of life must also be immaterial. That's like saying that if I have some object and it's blue, therefore the cause of the object must also be blue. No, that doesn't logically follow. That's what's going on with this argument.
Are you agreeing with me here that
it's arguing that some property contained within the object must be contained within the cause of that object's existence when that doesn't logically follow for the same reason?
I'm agreeing with you, Danny.
Yeah,
so I'm not allowed to finish.
Content, right? It's not a.
So the content of an argument doesn't matter to its validity.
It doesn't matter for validity, exactly.
I don't think so.
I
disagree.
I'm very confused how an argument that's reporting to follow as like modus ponens, right, in this case, can't be concerned with whether or not the truth of the premises can entail the truth of the conclusion. Because that's one of the conditions for modus ponens to work.
Now, look, the point is that if the premises are true, right, then the conclusion is guaranteed from the premises, that's soundness, right? But you can have
in this case,
you can have false premises. You can have false premises, but the conclusion still follows from the
valid.
Yes, 100%. But I granted both the premises as true and showed that the conclusion still doesn't follow.
Well, no, I see that you granted.
There's three premises.
I literally said I'm granting both of these premises true, and here's why the conclusion doesn't follow.
Premises.
I understand that, Speed, but we're just combining. We're just putting P2 and P3 as the antecedent of the conditional and the first premise given a modus ponens argument for just
that's conjunction in and arrow out is what the two rules of inference that you use to arrive at Q.
So but the point is that it could be if all I tell you, I'm gonna ask you, Leo. Maybe think of it this way: if I say, Leo, is this valid? If A, then B. A, therefore B. Is that a valid argument?
Yes. Can I propose something to you?
Yeah, but look. Okay, that's fine. Go ahead.
And just give me a second here because I want to make sure I find a good example of this. So if I have a box,
oh my gosh,
and the box possesses color, and that color is blue, does the cause of the box? Is it true that the cause of the box must also thereby possess the color blue?
No, I'm going to reject.
Okay, then you reject this argument. Then you reject this argument.
Concerned with the content.
Would you like me to explain why? Well, wait, but this is the thing. Granting, just giving the pure formal structure of an argument is valid. But if you take that and you say, okay, let's apply this to an actual semantic argument. Let's give it meaning. Hold on, and see if the rules follow. Let's see if it does turn out to be valid. If the conclusion that's being given when we add in the semantic meaning actually follows from the premises, because I think you would agree if it doesn't, then it wouldn't really be modus ponens, because it would be invalid, because the conclusion doesn't actually follow. And when we do that with this argument, what we find is exactly that. The conclusion does not follow from the premises. So the structure that the argument purports to follow obviously is valid. I don't know why we keep debating that. The argument itself is not, because the conclusion does not follow logically. It breaks that rule, so it doesn't actually follow the structure. It's an invalid deductive argument.
Yeah, I'm just saying that when you can, there are cases when what you just stated does happen. For example, equivocation fallacies look like they're in the right form, but technically they're not. Like, for instance, in the most common example of an equivocation fallacy is when you say, Shakespeare is English, English is a language, therefore Shakespeare is a language. The idea is that looks like it's in the form of A is B and B is C, but really, if you consider the content, that translates to something like A is B and then D is C, therefore A is C, right? So that can happen. Sometimes the content could be translated. You get you find out that your variables that you're using to know whether it's valid or not matching the content, right? Now, I am only bringing this up because do you feel like that is what's happening here?
Yes, I feel like what's happening here is something like the following: if A and B, right, and C then E, therefore A and B then E, right? What the conclusion is a little bit too complex to be following from its premises. The conclusion is invoking a notion of causation, which is not necessary and doesn't relate at all to the first two premises.
You're just contesting the first premise, P1, right? This is
not. Right. I could grant that premise 1 is true.
Well,
the conclusion still doesn't follow.
What were you going to say, Speed?
Basically, yeah, if you grant all three premises, the conclusion follows. The fucking thing, the three premises entail the conclusion.
So wait,
if I grant,
so can I ask you, if you have a box and this box possesses color and that color is blue, is the cause of the box blue? Must the cause of the box be blue?
No.
Okay, so then what? How are you granting that? This is saying that life has some property within it, and we call that semantics, and that itself has another property. It's immateriality.
Guys.
So it's then trying to say that whatever caused life must somehow be immaterial simply because that's a sub-property. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm not saying that semantic meaning can't be immaterial. I'm saying that the cause is not immaterial simply because life possesses semantic meaning, which is immaterial. That doesn't follow.
What's going on here is that you're telling me that you're granting P1, and then a minute later, then you're contesting the premise with.
No, I'm not. When have I contested that semantic meaning is immaterial?
Look, when you say something like if the box is blue, then the cause of the box being blue is blue itself, right? That's a condition.
No, that's not what I'm saying. The cause of the box existing must be blue simply because the box happens to possess the property of it. It kind of does, though.
No.
Because I'm not arguing that the cause is the cause of the color. It's the cause of the box existing.
Okay, state your box argument for me, please, Leo.
So, and obviously it's simplistic, so it's not like an exact one-to-one correlation, but it certainly draws the problem with this argument. This argument is essentially saying that if you have a box, in this box, let's actually say, let me change it up a little bit. I think it'll be a little better. We have a box, and this box possesses mass, and the mass is great. It's a great amount of mass. Therefore, the cause must also be great in mass. No, that doesn't follow. Just because you have some object that possesses some property does not mean that the cause must also possess that property. And that's what this argument is trying to say, that because life has some property, semantics, that is immaterial, the cause must also be immaterial. I'm sorry, that does not follow. The cause does not have to be immaterial just because life has something in it that is itself immaterial. The cause could be material, which it is, and I can still grant both the premises. It doesn't follow that the cause has to possess some particular property that some property already contained within life has. And that's what this argument's trying to do. It doesn't follow. The conclusion doesn't follow. It's invalid.
Leo, you're confusing the content of the premise.
No, I've already addressed this point.
Oh, Jesus Christ. You can't shut up for just a minute. You're confusing the content of the premises, or basically the connection of the premises have to real life, which is what John wants to do, of course, with the logical form of the argument. Okay? And we're telling you that you have to separate those two things. You cannot confuse those two items. Arguments have a logical form, and it's very mathematical, and the very best thing is to turn them into letters so that you don't bring your bias into the thinking process, and then you go after the premises. But you have to go after, if the conclusion is valid, then you have to go after the premises.
This is absolutely insane. I already addressed that point.
Leo's already admitted as much, that the formal structure of the argument is valid.
And that is the fucking problem.
Can I talk, or are you just going to
Holy shit.
Jesus.
Use the right language.
I have been.
Can I talk, or what? Come on. Hello.
Why are you doing the same thing you're purportedly putting back people backstage for doing?
Leo's already admitted that the formal structure itself is valid.
Yes,
right?
The formal structure the argument purports to follow is valid, modus ponens.
Right.
Obviously, this is a little bit of a slightly altered modus ponens structure, but ultimately that's what it is. Granted that, modus ponens is a valid form of argumentation. But when we actually take modus ponens just pure on its own and say, let's apply it to an actual semantic, meaningful argument and see if it actually follows the rules of modus ponens, this one does not. It tries to be logically valid, but it's not. So, yes, obviously, as I've conceded now for the fourth time, modus ponens is a valid form of argumentation. This argument purports to follow those rules, but it actually doesn't, because the conclusion doesn't follow from the premises. You guys seem willing to admit that, in the sense that when you consider the semantic meaning, that you're agreeing with me, but you won't say that. It seems that for some odd reason, you want to just grant by fiat that this argument is valid. I don't know if it's over charitability or what. I try to be charitable, but this is not a deductively valid argument.
This is deductively valid, and let me explain why. Do you think it follows that if I say something, it's true?
No.
Nope.
Okay, now watch this argument. Is this a valid argument? If Danny says it, it is true. Danny said it, therefore it's true. Is that a valid argument?
It's a valid argument, yes.
It is valid.
Yes, it is.
Okay,
yes, but this isn't doing that. This isn't valid. You want to know why? Because the conclusion doesn't follow from the premises. It's okay. No. This is all you have to do. Explain to me how the conclusion C2 follows from P2 and P3 conjuncted.
You're basically asking me why modus ponens is accepted.
No, that's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking you how this argument actually follows the rules of modus ponens. Show me that the conclusion actually logically follows from the premises.
Let me show you. First of all, do you accept all of the symbol notation for each proposition?
Yes.
On this page. Okay. So then if that means that the only way that this could work in your favor is if there's an equivocation. Okay. But if the symbols match the propositions, then here is the form in symbol form, right? In propositional form. Okay. So if A and B, then C. Second premise, A.
We're doing it again.
Wait. Okay, tell me where I've went wrong so far.
Well, no, it's not. You haven't said anything wrong, but you're going back to the form of the argument modus ponens, which I've already used. And I'm telling you that this argument doesn't actually follow it.
I'm not so sure if I can convince you.
I kind of
you can't because the argument isn't valid, not deductively.
What he's saying is that the semantics, the internal content in the semantics of the argument, the way it's been constructed, formally valid, yes, but its semantics are not.
That doesn't make any sense.
The content of the arguments does not follow.
It's not concerned with semantics. It's just not.
I know that.
So I was telling you what he said doesn't make sense.
But the objection is not with the structure of modus ponens. It's with how the argument attempts to utilize that structure. It does not do so correctly.
What I'm
the
trying to
argument
say
itself is not following modus ponens.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. The argument doesn't actually follow it.
If the argument can be symbolized in the way that I just structured, it doesn't matter what the symbols stand for in terms of propositionally, right? It just doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the
you detached it from meaning. But if you said if P then Q, P therefore Q, but you didn't actually have P when you applied it to an actual argument, then it wouldn't actually be modus ponens, would it?
Here, if
I mean, would it? Even if you said you gave it that structure, but it didn't actually follow it. You say, okay, this is the structure for the argument. Great, it's valid. Let's apply it to the argument. That seems to be something you just don't want to do. Like, let's take modus ponens and apply it to this argument. That's what I'm trying to do. And it doesn't actually follow the rules for modus ponens. It violates those rules.
Okay, so are you saying if A and B then Q, that just disqualifies it from being a modus ponens argument? Because here's what all modus ponens is basically this, right?
I know.
Given some antecedent, an antecedent, therefore consequent. The antecedent, therefore consequent. All it is. That's what a modus ponens argument is. So this follows that form, right? If A and B, that's just to say, if antecedent, therefore consequent, antecedent, therefore consequent. That's all. It's not like you're saying. It's very simple.
I understand all of this, and it's not doing anything to show me how the conclusion of this argument follows from its premises, because it doesn't.
Honestly, I'm not sure if I'm the right person then to talk to you about it. I don't know how else to explain it.
You just keep referring to the form of the argument that is trying to be utilized, and then when we look at it, it doesn't actually map to modus ponens. You keep saying, "Oh, but yeah, but modus ponens is valid," and I'm like, "Yeah, but this argument doesn't actually map to being a modus ponens." Yeah, but modus ponens is valid. Yeah, but this argument doesn't actually map to being modus ponens. Yeah, but modus ponens is valid. Great, but this argument doesn't actually map to being a modus ponens argument.
But you told me you accepted the symbols.
Do you not know what a non sequitur is?
A non sequitur? Well, it just means it does not follow.
Yeah, the conclusion does not follow from the premises.
Yes, the conclusion doesn't follow from the damn premise.
That is intrinsically a violation of modus ponens.
Look, do you think if I say it is true, do you think that follows?
It doesn't matter. It could be true. They could be false. Both the premises could be false. The conclusion still doesn't follow. Both the premises could be true, and it still doesn't follow. One of them could be false, and the other one true, whichever one, and it still doesn't follow because it's a non sequitur, which is a violation of the rules of proper, valid argumentation, which means it's an invalid argument.
Do you think that if it's in the form, if someone structures the argument as premise 1, antecedent, therefore consequent, premise 2, antecedent.
Kenny, the issue isn't the form. The issue isn't whether or not modus ponens is a valid argument. The issue is exactly that the way LPP has formed his argument, it is not following modus ponens.
Look, do you accept the notations that Speed had written? Let me just talk to Immutable because Leo's like prepping.
I'm sorry, I don't know what to do here.
Well, let me just talk to Immutable for a second. Immutable, can you scroll up a little bit, Speed? Speed. Okay.
Thank you.
Do you accept what Speed has put there in terms of the symbols that correlate with the propositions?
Yeah, I can accept them.
Okay. So then do you look at, you see P1, Speed has written A and B, therefore Q. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay, so there's nothing wrong with that. So premise 1 is basically if A and B, then Q. Are you denying this?
No, that's what its structure is.
Okay.
A and B, therefore Q.
There's not a difference between if A and B, then Q, then between that and something like if P, then Q.
Yeah, but what if Q didn't actually follow?
It doesn't. Look, it's just a conditional. If it doesn't follow, that just means you don't accept the premise.
Well, no, but what? So no, the legitimate question. Let's grant some argument. It doesn't even have to be this argument. Let's grant some argument where both premises are true, but the conclusion does not actually follow from them. What would you say about that argument?
It's invalid.
Yes, that's
Good.
this argument. Thank you.
That
You
is
agree
the
with me?
argument.
I'm done talking about it. You agree with me? I'm done talking about it because you literally just agreed with me that if an argument has two premises or a number of premises that are true, but the conclusion doesn't follow from those, it's an invalid argument. Great.
Yeah,
that's this argument. I've explained that like 5 times. 100%. You haven't shown how I'm wrong.
Whether
so I'm
that's
dropping
happening here. Look, our Leo,
Yes.
I disagree
No.
whether it's happening here. And it's not happening.
Show me that it's
Danny,
not without referring to purely
everybody-
the argument. No, you're not.
Everybody who's observed this argument agrees to the fact that it is not following from.
Well, then everyone's stupid.
Well,
No,
Danny,
you're gonna have
can you
to
tell
explain
me
how the cause of life.
You're concerned with the content.
Danny, can you tell me? Can you tell me what my objection is? Can you tell me
Yes.
why I think the conclusion
We just
doesn't
agreed
follow?
to that.
All I'm
No,
hearing is
I want to see if Danny's been listening. Can you tell me why I don't think the conclusion follows from the premises?
because I mean, you're not going to admit to this, but this is what you've been saying. You're saying something like the consequent doesn't come from the antecedent in premise 1. It doesn't follow that the consequent comes from the antecedent in premise 1.
Exactly.
That's what you're saying. But that's just to reject the damn premise.
I just wrote. I just
don't
wrote
reject
a
the premise that, but I'm not rejecting the premise that semantics is immaterial.
I think, Danny, would you call this a non
Or semantic
sequitur?
meaning.
Let me see. If a problem, I mean, I'm not usually around multi-premise stuff, so give me some patience. Yeah, that's invalid. This is invalid.
Right.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, God.
Thank you.
But that is not.
This is what the argument is doing. Yes, it is. Would
And
you
this
like me
one
to
is
explain
valid.
it for a 6th time?
If that's what's going on, then I will be more than happy and agree with you that it's invalid.
I can explain it again. So life exists. We all know that. I honestly think it obviously not in the linguistic sense, but that it is true that there's analogically mapping that to life, that there's semantic meaning in life. And sure, semantic meaning is immaterial. There isn't like a thing that makes up semantic meaning. But that it doesn't follow from that therefore the cause of life is immaterial. Does it, Danny?
You're just rejecting the first
Wait,
premise.
no. But that's not the first premise. The first premise is semantic meaning is immaterial.
I don't think that
I'm not rejecting that.
Look, what I take you to mean there is that I agree with you that the consequent doesn't come from that antecedent.
Yeah, this is the argument. Semantic meaning is immaterial. Life contains semantic meaning. Therefore, the cause of life is immaterial. That's literally this argument.
That's not an argument.
No, that is the argument. Premise 1, semantic. Wait, hold on. Semantic meaning is immaterial. That's a proposition, correct?
Semantic
meaning is immaterial. So that can be a premise in an argument.
Sure.
Now, naturally, when I said defend the premise, obviously, life requires semantic meaning. That's also a premise. And if somebody says, therefore, the cause of life is immaterial, that wouldn't follow from those two premises. I think you agree with that.
Look,
that's this argument.
Leo, look at this argument here. If poop is cotton candy and life requires poop, then life is cotton candy. Poop is cotton candy. Life requires poop. Therefore, life is cotton candy.
This follows, but this isn't the argument.
Does that follow? Does that one follow?
This one
is
does,
not
yes.
valid.
What?
This one is valid.
This one's valid. It's not sound. John's argument still is not valid. It's a non sequitur. Its conclusion does not logically follow from the premises.
Yeah, what is listed as P1 is basically a tucked away argument that you're trying to hide.
Because there's an if then. P1 is not a premise. Ignore that. Where it says semantic meaning is immaterial and it says P2 in it, that's the argument is premise 1. Semantic meaning is immaterial. Premise 2. Life requires semantics. Conclusion. Therefore, the cause of life is immaterial. That is the argument. That is literally the argument.
Same exact argument as I had here about poop and cotton candy. So
not really.
The first official premise of his argument, which is actually not a premise, is what he's wanting to show.
If you said if poop is cotton candy and life requires poop, then the cause of life is cotton candy. Poop is candy, life requires poop. Therefore, the cause of life is cotton candy. Then you would have an accurate representation of John's argument, and it would be invalid. But the argument you have here is not a good representation of John's argument. The argument you have here is valid. John's argument is not.
Oh my God.
The conclusion does not follow from the premises.
I can't do it, Speed. Someone else.
I can't either. I can't either.
I mean,
so.
I think we agree on the fundamentals of this.
Okay, so
Do we
I'm
not?
gonna.
I mean.
There's nothing else. I don't know how. I feel like I'll just
there's nowhere else to go with these guys. So let's move on to another topic.
I agree with you and Danny. I don't know what the hell that was about.
No, do you? So you agree that John's argument is valid?
I agree that it's valid.
No, it's not valid.
I don't think the particular way he's constructed it makes sense. I don't know
what. Of course it doesn't. It's John Maddox.
I'm not so sure it's good practice to put a conclusion in premise 1.
Well, you didn't put the conclusion in premise 1. You see, you basically premise 1, 2, and 3 are good.
Did you not? Go back up. You don't think the conclusion's in premise 1?
No.
Nope,
look, is this an argument? It's valid. Look, Cerebus, you're not going to elucidate anything, so let me just clear it up really fast.
Yeah, no, I'm just going to ignore you.
What I say is, if Danny's saying it,
go all the way up to the way
Danny
it's phrased.
Said it, therefore it's true. Is that a valid argument?
What's wrong with the symbols? Why the symbols?
Here we're going again. Back to the
symbols.
Go to the actual
the argument itself.
This isn't the argument.
But how about this?
This is one big mountain daily.
You do have Q in P1, and then therefore Q at the bottom.
That's with every modus ponens argument.
Yeah.
You're just so worthless, Cerebus.
No.
Danny, don't do that now. Come on now. Be nice to Cerebus.
I'll be nicer.
No, that's fine. I like it when he gets triggered.
I don't like it when you guys pick on each other.
Yeah.
What is
a modus ponens argument, Cerebus? Would you care to put it in a form?
No, I wouldn't care.
Yeah. You see, sit back down.
Yeah. How about this? I will say I don't know. Now, why don't you give it to me?
If P, then Q. P, therefore Q. That's a modus ponens argument.
And this is too. It's just that we have a conjunction instead of one atom.
And what you said was that because Q showed up in the conclusion and then Q was in the conditional of the first premise, that there's somehow a problem.
Can you share my screen, please?
Do I dare?
I think you dare, yes.
So, Danny, since we're getting...
This is John's argument.
Since we're getting tied up like in the linguistics of this, what would you say logically is incorrect?
Nope, it ain't.
Okay, no, throw it back up and explain how it's not. Please.
I didn't see it.
He left out premise 1.
Premise 1 is right there. Semantic meaning is
immaterial.
immaterial.
Left out premise 1.
No, I didn't. It's right there. I literally just underlined it.
Premise 1 is
premise. You're missing a premise in his argument.
Okay, so bring it back up and show me what premise I'm missing.
His premise
You're missing premise 1 right here.
What is it? Read the premise.
What is it, Smarty? Come on.
His premise 1 is literally his whole argument. That
what he has listed as P1 is not a premise. It's an argument. It's literally an if then therefore this argument.
It's not an argument.
Yes, it is. No, yes, it is. Well, then scroll up and I'll explain how it is.
Okay, I don't know what you mean by argument.
It's a formal argument. If then therefore. But you're saying if A then B therefore C isn't an argument?
Look, I'm saying,
wait, no, is that an argument?
Say that again.
If A then B therefore C.
That's not an argument.
That's
how so?
Secular.
What? How so?
Yeah, of course it's a non sequitur. That's
there's no line of reasoning there. Anyone can give a conditional.
Okay, scroll up and tell me what premise I've missed. I'm still waiting.
You missed premise 1.
What is it? Read it.
Read premise 1 for me. Q. That's what it is.
No. Read premise 1 of John's argument, not some form. If semantic
meaning is immaterial and life requires semantics, then the cause of life is immaterial. That's premise 1.
That's not a premise. That's an argument.
That's a conditional.
No, it's an argument. If A and B, then Q. That's literally an argument.
It's a perfect. Okay.
If A, there you go, and B, there you go, there you get in, and then therefore Q.
Okay, the problem is here.
What the fuck was that about?
We have two people that don't understand formal logic, and we're getting crossed up on terms. And of course, we know that John's argument stinks, right? This argument stinks. It's just the way he chose his words and the way he threw his basically. Well, it's a real simplistic argument, right, Danny?
Yes. It doesn't get us anywhere because the atheist is just going to challenge P1. like what Leo's doing.
And these guys haven't had enough training in formal logic that they can see it or understand it, apparently. And they're just going to go on all night, so I think we should move on to another topic. Does everybody agree?
Well, they're going to, you've kind of been, well, they're going to, if you second you let them in, right, they're going to probably want to respond. But
yeah, I probably shouldn't let them in then.
No, I'm not advocating for that. But I'm just saying that I guess.
I mean, I appreciate that I've been strawman for like the past 10 minutes because I've agreed with. I've said as much that I agree with you that formally speaking, it's valid.
I don't think it's valid. It's not a valid argument.
Oh my God! Oh, okay, I'm out of here.
Well, I mean, it's not.
I'm going to let you guys have the rest of the stream, okay?
You said I have no training in formal logic. I didn't know that I never took that course that I took that was taught by an actual professional that was literally titled An Introduction to Formal Logic.
I've taken mathematical logic before, and I know exactly what it is.
I mean, you guys claimed an argument is a premise, and it's not a premise, and you haven't actually told me where the argument is wrong or anything like that, but sure. You keep referring back to the form rather than the argument the argument that we're talking about as an attempt of modeling that form and how it doesn't accurately do that. I've given numerous examples of this argument, and you've all agreed that it doesn't actually follow modus ponens and it would be invalid. And I say, oh, that's this argument. And then you disagree, but you don't actually explicate on what it is particularly that you're agreeing upon, going back to the form of the argument rather than it applied to some actual meaningful argument. And it's just a whole ass Mott and Bailey jumping back and forth the whole fucking time. Okay. Jesus Christ. This is bad.
So in P1, right? In P1 and then subsequently repeated later, right? Does it follow? Does it follow that life requires this, or does it follow that life is caused by this?
You're concerned with the content. Validity does not care about content.
Oh no! This is a point that's already been conceded. Yet it's the point they keep going back to. I don't know why.
I know.
You don't need. You don't need to mention any of the life stuff.
No, but I'm going to go through whether you like it or not. Right. If semantic meaning is the material and life requires semantics, then the cause of life is in material.
Yes, that's the argument.
Does the second half of P1 actually follow from the first two? If the first two exist.
There's a term for this. Okay. What we should be saying is the argument is fallacious.
Well, it is. It commits a non sequitur. The conclusion Q does not follow from A and B conjuncted.
That's just
the argument. Sorry, Danny, what was that?
That's not a premise. That's an argument. If A and B, then Q. That's an argument, not a premise.
That's your faulty assumption.
No, it's not a faulty assumption. That's an argument, not a premise.
No person that studies logic is going to say if A, then B is itself an argument. No one.
That's not what I said. I didn't say if A, then B. That's not what I said.
If A and B, then Q. Right? It doesn't matter.
Yes,
no one in the literature is going to say that that's an argument.
Well,
what do you take a formal logical? Okay, what do you take a formal logical argument to be in terms of its structure?
Myself? Well, I just take it like since we're in the Aristotelian realm here, I just take any of the models, the 9 models that have been presented to me in the logic book to be a formal argument.
So I have a question. If I said if a car's position is changing with time and there is a force being applied to the car, then the car is moving. You're saying that's not a formal argument. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's just wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. That's not a claim.
Leo, I swear.
You're granting 2 premises and then a conclusion that follows. It's a condition. It's a conditional. The premise is the if and the and.
So, Danny, tell me what's wrong when if I say
those are premises. If those aren't premises, then if P, then Q.
I'm just going to cut in here.
Can't be an argument either.
Tell me what's wrong with concluding I have gold from holding poop in my hand and it's raining on my head.
Well, I just would reject the premise, the conditional.
Okay, but what if I add a premise on top of that says if I have poop in my hand and it's raining, therefore then I have gold in my hand?
Well, that's invalid. You need a second premise.
Are you sure?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, there you go. Thank you. It doesn't follow.
It's invalid because the conclusion doesn't fucking follow from the premises.
No matter how many
you cannot conclude that specifically the cause of yes, it is. It literally is. He's saying that because semantic meaning is immaterial, and also because we see that life requires semantic meaning, that therefore the cause of life must be immaterial. That
That's not his argument. You're strong.
Okay, no, that's literally his argument.
No, look. Do you think?
Yes, it is. I'm the one that brought this to this community. I saw the original post. How the fuck can you sit here and say that's not his argument? Yes, it is.
I just made an argument.
It's literally his argument.
I just made an argument.
And you're wrong. You're wrong. You don't understand his argument.
I just made an argument.
There's nothing to explain. You're wrong.
Guys, let's let Danny talk. Come on, hold on.
Can you moderate and let me explain this? Okay, look. Now that y'all are listening to me, there's a difference between these two forms, so to speak. If A, then B, B. That is invalid. That's not what John did here. John did something different. He did not say if A, then B, and then concluded B. He said if A, then B, A, then therefore B. That's different. So please listen to what I'm saying. I'm repeating myself, right? If A, then B, and then to conclude B from that is invalid. But to say if A, then B, and then give a second premise A, then B would follow, and that's valid. That's what you morons are not getting. Okay, go ahead and do what you want to speak.
Okay.
I haven't resorted to ad hominems this whole time. So
yeah, but two other people have.
understand.
It says a lot about them, and they haven't actually addressed any argument that's been presented. It says a lot about them, and then they keep putting us backstage. Yeah, I mean, it just speaks more volumes about
I just made an argument that followed the exact same layout. And
okay, what was your argument, Cerberus? Give me your argument.
Okay, so we're going to start off as an example. I'm going to say I have poop in my hand, and then it rains on my head. Therefore, I have gold.
That's not what John did here.
Wait, I'm not saying that's what he did.
Okay.
Right.
You're saying A and B, then C, right?
Yeah.
Poop is A. You have poop in your hand. Okay, and B is what?
Then it rains on my head.
It rained from your head?
No, rains on my head.
Oh, rains on your head. So rain on your head and poop in your hand.
I have gold.
Therefore, you have gold.
Yeah.
Okay. That does not follow by itself.
I agree.
Now you have to grant A and B.
Yeah. So if you slap a P1 on top of it and say I have poop in my hand, and if I have poop in my hand and it rained on my head, then I have gold.
Okay. If you have poop on your hand and it rained on your head, then you have gold. That's a premise. Okay. Premise one.
We just slapped that premise.
Premise two
we just slapped that premise on top of the first two I had before.
Right.
It still doesn't follow that I have gold.
But it's a perfectly logical argument.
If it doesn't follow, then how can it be?
Wait, I kind of lost you.
If it doesn't follow.
If I have poop in my hand, then I have gold. I have poop in my hand, therefore I have gold. Is that valid, Cerberus?
Okay, the problem is, Cerberus, is you do not accept the first premise, which is if I have poop in my hand and it rained on my head, then I have gold. Okay, you don't accept that, and we don't accept John's first argument. No one does. Okay,
that's not necessarily what me and
Leo no. Just hear me out for a second. When you're arguing with people about things like this, you have to separate the concerns. You have to separate what the logical form of their argument is from the rhetorical content of their argument and decide whether or not you want to accept their premises. Okay. And in this case, we do not, none of us, accept premise one. But the form of the argument is still valid the way he put it out. Now, I think what John did is he switched premise one for premise three. He said basically the first two, and then he premise three, but I decided to reverse it for some fucking reason. I'm not sure why. Anyway, but I'm not sure. But anyway, that is John's argument. We disagree with premise one. Premise one is ridiculous. Leo would say it does not follow. Okay, it doesn't follow in a real world sense, right? But that has nothing to do with the logical form of the argument. So you got to separate your concerns. If you don't, you're just going to embarrass yourself.
Well, yeah, but that's all I've been saying is that it doesn't
100%. And it's like, look, there's a difference between these two, I guess, forms, for lack of a better word. The premise one, if P, then Q. Okay, there's a difference between that versus premise one, P, conclusion Q, right? That is different. Okay.
Yeah.
And I will agree with you that if the form is in that way, then there's something wrong. But people often put conditionals as premises and then support that premise with further premises, and that's what John here did. John did here to the extent that it made it valid, right? But who cares that it's valid? We want to contest the first premise, so we want an argument for the first premise.
Right.
Okay, maybe I'm misreading the argument or misunderstanding the argument, but didn't he just restate the premises that form the conditional?
Yeah, he didn't need to do that, but that's fine if he did. Like
Okay.
we could just eliminate P2 and P3, and then he could have just said we could leave it at P1.
Yeah, I was fine with that too. I was just kind of.
Well, yeah. This is why I was pointing out with what I was saying before, right? He made an argument that didn't follow, so he slapped an if on top of it to make it valid.
Look, if what I'm seeing here is what he originally put, there was definitely a way to read in a way where it was valid, right? If you were uncharitable, then maybe it was invalid. But I didn't see the original thing.
Yeah, I have a copy of his original argument somewhere. He had a guy that put it into logic, and the guy made a few mistakes, so I kind of pushed back on it. But let me see if I can find it. It's going to take a little doing, I think. But anyway, go on while I.
But also, didn't someone? I thought I heard someone say this was deductive.
It is a deductive argument.
Okay.
Oh shit! I'm gonna have a hell of a time finding this because the Mac is kind of retarded when it comes to displaying pictures. Actually,
glad we agree on that one.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna try to see the icons, but for some reason, oh shit! Now I formatted them right. Maybe I can find it. Okay. Oh, here we go. I think this is it. Yep. Okay, let's take a look at what they originally did, because I did try to straighten it out. Stop screen. Okay, so that's John's original words, and then this is what this robotics guy did down here. P1 of semantic meanings, and yeah, that he did the same thing I did. PQ semantic meaning, yeah, he did the same thing, except he didn't talk about the arrow out. He just talked about the introduction of the conjunction. So I
would have done it differently because I kind of get lost doing it that way. But I would have just been much more simply right now. I would have stated P1, and then put then I would have just restated as my second premises the antecedent, and then I would have gotten the conclusion. But I think that if you phrase it that way, it would have made the argument look too simplistic. Does that make sense, Steve? Yeah, if you just put it in the normal, if you condense the argument the way I just did, it just looks straightforwardly worthless because you're just going to want to talk about why should we accept the premises.
I got to growl at Jessel.
I think this is a little bit more confusing, right? I think to someone that doesn't know anything about logic.
Yeah. It is. Well, he straightened it out a little bit, but he didn't go far enough. He like I say, he didn't quite do the. He didn't apply. There are two rules of inference applied here, and that is the conjunction in, which is and in, and the arrow out. So those are the two rules of inference that he comes for, and he left out the second one. So. R from P1 and C. Well, R from P1 and C1 is what he meant. So he abbreviated it a little bit. I could grant him that. So the guy did kind of know what he was talking about. Let's see what John said. Okay, informal argument. Okay, thinking about the unavoidable reality. I don't know where John's original is, to tell you the truth.
This is the original post that I sent you.
Literally argue the semantic. No, but there was more to it. There was more up above it because
I don't know where because what you're seeing is literally the screenshot that I sent you.
Yeah, I know.
And that's all I ever saw. That's what kicked off this whole thing. And lo and behold, his conclusion still doesn't follow from his premises.
I think he's got it on his. site or whatever. Let's see, where the hell's workflowy? Okay, damn. The Genesis of the universe. I don't want that. Okay, workflowy. So okay, some fun for today, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, yeah, this is the original. 1, 2. Okay, 1, 2. Yeah, he does it a hell of a lot more simply and more telling, as to how ridiculous it is. So let's see. But I'm just going by the screenshot you sent me. But then I went to his site and found this. So this is what if semantic meaning is immaterial, life requires semantics, then the cause of life is immaterial. I mean,
yeah, that conclusion doesn't follow.
Yeah, this is pretty fucked up. But
and like I said, that was essentially the argument that.
Yeah, but I think there was more to it because that robotics guy got more out of it, basically.
Well, Mind bin just gave it some weird ass invalid formulation.
Yeah, he's got like two unrelated. Basically, this is premise one.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's presenting it as if it's a argument without really presenting an argument. But the robotics guy got this from somewhere, and I think it was Facebook, right?
Yeah, I would just consider this a claim that needs to be supported.
Yeah, pretty heavily. So anyway, we all agree that it's shit.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out that if some aspect of life possesses some property X, that the cause of life must also possess property X. I still haven't seen a valid argument.
You're concerned with the
concept. No.
Which doesn't matter. That's still the question I want answered. I don't care what you think.
Okay, so now, John, wait a minute. John is in the chat claiming that he didn't really mean this as an argument.
Right.
Holy fuck!
Then why did you formalize it and talk so much shit about it?
Scroll down to the hyper simple
guys,
version.
what you're seeing in the chart in the chat is what you call backpedaling.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's backpedaling. Okay, here. I guess this is the whole thing. Onslaught of talking points which will prove beyond a doubt that YouTube atheists don't actually use their brains. While this may be from having their minds blown so many times, they now exist in a near vegetative, blah blah, incapable of blah blah blah. Where the hell is it? Okay. These three conditions appear to render YouTube atheists incapable of contemplation, whatever. Okay, so what the fuck? Where's the actual argument? He doesn't really say anything.
Unless he thinks it's in the meme, and I'm sorry, that's invalid.
I guess.
Follow.
Yeah, that doesn't follow at all. So what the fuck, John? So your robotics guy presented a whole different argument. Read the post, dumbass.
There's no argument in the post.
Okay, extremely will clearly showcase inability to comprehend this or triggering, which leaves them unable to see this prediction.
I would love to ask him what he means by semantics. Come
on in, John. Come on in, John. Explain it to us. Explain this. Explain what you were doing here.
Explain how your botched argument that you had commissioned isn't actually an argument you wanted to use yet. It was.
Yeah, he's backpedaling. He's backpedaling.
I have a feeling that I would probably end up marrying Amelia Clark before he would come into this stream.
He's backpedaling. I can't believe how he's backpedaling. It's just unbelievable. He thought.
I mean, I went against five Muslims today. Well, and one Christian was there towards the end. Why can't he come in and defend himself against a bunch of people?
Kind of weird.
You get the proverbial C.O. Jones to come in and defend your position against people who are supposedly, I don't know, stupid and don't know anything.
Stupid and moronic.
Get everything wrong.
And John is just like the savant of all logic.
Okay, Maddox, are you denying that you posted this? Are you denying this? Because this is a valid argument, but it just doesn't make any sense. So are you going to backpedal on this? This is what the fuck you put up on where? Facebook? Where did you get this from, Leo?
YouTube.
YouTube.
It's a community post.
This is not in his community post.
Well, then he deleted it. Wonder why. Because that's a direct screenshot from a community post I saw. I saw that argument and I was like, oh, Speed and them guys will fucking love this.
Yeah, I can't find it. Unless there's a read more that I'm not picking up here.
So it was his, but it's not his, and he wasn't really wanting to use it.
But he posted it, but then it's not there.
Yeah, John.
Yeah,
John, you're such a wanker.
So many people.
Crawfish.
Oh, you are backpedaling. This is the post you put up. Now you deleted it. What the fuck?
Crawfish. Crawfish.
Oh, shit.
He says Mindben asked me to remove it. Maybe he realized he put out a really dumb argument.
Yeah.
Maybe he had a few realizations that the argument he put out probably was not his best work.
Yeah, but guess what, John? We captured the screenshot, so you're kind of fucked.
So coincidentally, somebody either hacked into your channel or posted it and used your very distinct way of belligerent, and bludgeoning atheists.
It's beautiful.
Read what I
said.
We're fuck nuggets.
Okay, I'm going to bed.
Women call me stretch nuts.
We'll see you, Danny. Thank you.
Good night, stretch nuts.
Good night, Leo.
Yeah, I think I'm going to bed too.
Good night, Daniel.
Good night.
that was not you. That was that. I'm driving by in a powder blue Prius, going, "Hi."
We've seen the simple version and the more logically sophisticated version. They're both stupid.
John, I am something of a douche because I do something along the lines of cleaning out vaginas.
I can't believe how dumb this guy is.
I don't know why he can't come in here and just tell us give us his version of the argument and just defend it.
Yeah, what he was trying to do, the whole thing.
I don't get it.
I don't either. Anyway, guys, should we wrap it? It's 12:30.
Yeah, we ain't got any. We don't have the very person who defended this coming in and defending.
Yeah,
it.
I mean,
we might as well end the show.
Might as well. I mean, he's not going to have any cojones and actually defend his argument.
Before we stop going live, however, there is one particular thing I would very much like to do. I think it would be a really fun and interesting thing to do. And I think it will help kind of demonstrate how there are some people in our community that I would characterize as honestly just a bit cowardly. And what I'm going to do here is... I might have to
remove you, Leo.
No, this is nothing bad. This is nothing you're going to object to. Is I'm going to put into the side chat in YouTube a link to a video where I go in on Khalil Allah's channel, the EA show, against 5 Muslims and defended my position and did so quite well. In fact, 2 of the theists there agreed with me on several points, actually. There were several points of agreement in the discussion. And I would post that just to show that the people here are more than willing to go into the lion's den, so to speak, and face people who are ideologically opposed to us. I wonder why there are some people in the community that avoid that at all costs, especially when they argue about how firm they are in their position and how strong it is compared to the position that the people that they would otherwise be discussing with take. It just seems
something about that strikes me as odd.
It's a little fucky, I must say. It's a little fucky.
It's a little weird.
Yeah, it's a little fucky. Just a little.
Okay, I'm linking your video in the description. I'm calling it Leo Into the Fire. So, anyway,
you can see me defend the tenseless theory of time and explain how a couple of people didn't seem to really understand what it is or how it's differentiated from the tense theory of time.
Yep. Comments. Logical, plausible, probable. Man, what a piece of work you are, John. You you don't have the courage to come in and defend anything. You're just anyway, guys.
You're something, John. You're a real warrior for the faith.
Yeah, we're gonna end the stream, guys.
Running for Jesus.
Goodbye, cruel world.
It's not retreating; it's advancing in the opposite direction.
Yeah, so there we are.
I'm sorry, I can't help it. Gotta love the jabs when you can get them. All right, guys, remember, science may not have all the answers, but religion has none of them. And John certainly has none of them either, so... I mean, at least none that are worth defending anyway, apparently. I don't know.
I'm surprised he knows how to work his tongue.
I will remember Leo saying that 20 years from now, there's some science religion that comes out.
Or Cosum Nos Perfectum. Yeah, there we go.
Goodbye, cruel world.